Good, e- Good evening, madam. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Okay, I will wait for a couple of minutes.
Your session is in the second half.
Not at 6 o'clock.
No, your
Okay,
session
okay.
is at
Sorry.
8:30. It's, I'll tell you, one second.
No problem.
It's at 8 o'clock.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Yes. Good evening and welcome to all the dear faculty members. We will just wait a couple of minutes more so that your colleagues and batchmates can join. Uh, let's just give it 1 or 2 minutes more so that people can join in. Hi Shambhavi, how are you?
Hello, good. How are you? Hi.
Good. Just waiting couple of minutes so that folks
No
can join.
problem. No
Yes.
problem.
I think let's start. We have almost 45 attendees, faculty members already joined us, and as others are joining, I think let's not waste more time and let's get started. I'll just take a few 5 minutes to introduce the program and to introduce you. So, first of all, welcome to all the respected faculty members who are joining us from all over India for this online faculty development session on generative AI fluency. I would like to. My name is Kamna Jain, and I represent SSC NASCOM, and I'm your coordinator for this program. First of all, I would like to thank All India Council for Technical Education, AICTE, for organizing this program, for taking this initiative. I would also like to thank all the management of SSC NASCOM for taking up this initiative. And last but not least, I would like to thank Shambhavi Srivastav, who is joining us for this inaugural address. To introduce Shambhavi, it's my pleasure. She is the co-founder and CEO of The Intect, which is a leading company when it comes to cybersecurity solutions. She brings leadership experience in delivering cybersecurity solutions, talent acquisition, and training solutions which are tailored to businesses. And her mission is to address the challenges that industry is facing by hiring talent, top talent, by upskilling teams and mitigating which the cyber risks which are ever evolving. So I have had the pleasure of meeting her and of inviting her for my earlier sessions, and I know that she speaks well and she will I'm actually a fan of hers. So
I'm a big fan of yours.
and basically she knows what is needed when it comes to talent, and you as faculty members have the wherewithal to bring to learn that skill and impart it to your students. If every year you train students to join the industry, so this will be very good to hear from her what she thinks is needed. And then for the next coming 6 days, we will be having sessions every day at 6 o'clock, two sessions every day which you can join. And the course is also available on Future Skills Prime. We are trying to get all of you access to that I'll let you know tomorrow. So for that, before that, over to you, Shambhavi, for your inaugural address.
Thank you, Kamna. Thank you. First of all, you're looking very pretty.
Thank
So
you.
kudos to that. Great. Good evening, everybody. I'm glad that I'm able to connect with people who are making leaders. So hats off to you guys. And of course, catering to the kind of kids we were, I think you guys have done a brilliant job. So thanks to all of you for making us this and for enabling us with the kind of education you guys have provided us. So, I mean, you are the leaders in the market. And thanks to AICT and NASCOM for providing this particular platform for upskilling and specifically in the area of GenAI, which is leading the market right now. So I think today's generation is in very good hands when the mentors themselves are open for learning. So I think that's a brilliant thing which I see NASCOM is doing right now, and I think kudos to you, Kamna. You were able to pull off and convince so many people to do the right thing. So I mean, great, great. Future Skills is doing wonderful. It has always been my favorite platform since the time I was student. So it has done a great job for me being a mentor. It has done a great job for my team. I am a big fan of hiring freshers in my team. My whole company is based on freshers. So the very first batch we hired, that was also freshers in technology as well as in management. Now also, in fact, in the morning, I have posted on my LinkedIn that I'm looking for good freshers. Please, campuses, reach out to me. So I
I
think,
saw that post looking
yeah,
for freshers. Yes.
I was like, wow, today evening I have this thing to join, and I see a lot
Yes.
of
Faculty
mentors.
members. We have all
Yeah.
faculty members, and they'll be happy to, share with their students.
Of course, of course. I mean, no better platform than this. Talking about the kind of challenge we have picked up, I think this is very prominent in the market right now. So, as per my understanding, I'm dealing with the skill gap in the market also, and I'm dealing with security services also. AI has changed the market so much that the way of doing things, the way of looking towards a specific thing has entirely changed. For example, I mean, I am sure you guys would agree with me. Usually, we used to open Google to check anything. Now we have turned it to ChatGPT. अभी Google open नहीं होता, अभी ChatGPT open होता है तुरंत कि let's do a ChatGPT and figure out that what answer it gets us. So it is all about the preciseness and the accuracy which AI is bringing into us. I think if we marry this new technology with the kind of humans we are, it will do wonders for us. It will never overpower, as per my understanding. It will never, because again, tomorrow we will have something better than AI, then we will have something better than that. Technology will be evolving, but then we as humans, if we are able to enable this technology in a right way, specifically in the Indian market, specifically with the kind of startups and MSME infra we have in India, we can scale up like anything. And of course, you guys being there, I think lots of people, lots of startups are going to come up in AI. And in case you guys are trained well in this, I think the generation is going in the right direction and they will pick up the right projects. They will pick up the right use cases for the industry. So I think this is very beneficial. This is very useful. In fact, I would also join this for, I think, yeah, come. This is very helpful for me also now that I realize. So, all the best to you guys, and thank you so much for trusting us, for trusting the platform. They are doing a brilliant job in, the best part is they're enabling. It's very beautiful to see when, there was days when there was so much shortage that people were not able to get the right knowledge. Now they have created this beautiful platform where if somebody is interested, they can quickly go and get the access to all the knowledge in the world. And the kind of the kind of sessions they have created, my god, they have few of the best people in the market who have delivered the sessions for them. So I think this is what do you call it, this mini MBA kind of a thing, or a mini IIT MTech kind of a thing, which you can pick up from here. I think wonderful. So, all the best to all of you. I look forward to the learnings from this. I look forward to more people joining in this session. This is extremely useful, and trust me, they have taken a huge initiative. Usually, nobody is doing that in the market. Everybody is just preserving it and thinking ki hum tak hi rahe. They are just booming like anything. So please support them. And I think I would also want to join Kamna. Please tell me the process. You're on mute. You're on mute.
Thank you so much, Shambhavi. I think I will agree with you on the point that we have got the best people in the business to actually come and give the trainings. And to your point, I would say that we would like to invite you as a trainer so that people can learn from your insights also.
I would love to, but then these are the people who have trained me. So I'm scared to train them.
No, I'm also quite happy with the people we have managed to get on board to deliver the trainings.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. I think that's a brilliant thing, Kamna. Usually, it becomes difficult to get people onboarded with the new technologies. It's a general thing which happens, every time the technology shifts. But then this time, I see there is a lot of engagement working in, and people are realizing the importance of AI. And thanks to our faculty members for putting in so much efforts after dealing with such naughty generation of today's. You guys are attending the session. Hats off to you guys. I am not able to deal with Gen Zs. So
But
thank you. Yeah.
Shambhavi, before you close, I want to ask you that since we've got your time,
Yeah,
what
yeah.
is the skill when you're looking for freshers? As you said that your organization is
Yes.
primarily freshers. What are the
Yes.
skills that you look for when you are hiring freshers? I think faculty would love to hear so that
Absolutely.
they yeah.
So, Kamna, so we hire for multiple roles. We hire for cybersecurity, we hire for developers, we hire for management roles as well. Now, the only thing which I look forward to in that person is the zeal to learn that particular skill. Because, see, I cannot, so we are not the kind of company who would expect that a fresher is coming in and they should have experience of live projects. it is like आपके पास डीएल होना चाहिए but डीएल नहीं है, but then you have to give the driving test. That's chicken egg situation. I don't want that. So what we check is how passionate the person is and how hardworking the person is. These are the two factors on which we consider each and every fresher, whether they're coming for security, whether they're coming for sales or marketing roles, whether they're coming for HR roles, whether they're coming for developer roles, whether they are coming for the our AI team. Now, I would expect that, they have spent 4 years in doing their graduation. They would have done some internships, explored something out of it, and that shows that how genuinely they want to be in that particular field or in that particular role. So these are the only things we check. So our fresher interviews are usually long conversations with the children, that why and how. These are the only two questions what we have. And trust me, this has worked really well for us. And we have got some wonderful freshers who are leading the teams in 2, 3 years of experience. They are dealing with all Fortune 500 clients and everything. And this has turned out brilliant for us. So I think we are going to follow the same thing. So this is what everybody looking forward to good people.
Ma'am, Shampoo, this is a question from Mr. B. Kishore Kumar that entry-level freshers also people are looking at only full stack role. Only few companies are looking at AI, ML role. Would you like to
So
just?
AI ML is a very niche role, honestly speaking. So this technology is almost 5 year old. Okay, abhi 5 years, since last 5 years, people have started exploring this role. Now, some organizations are looking for people who have 8 years of experience. So we do hiring as well. So we do understand that doesn't make sense. Of course, when they're looking for 8 years experience people, they're looking for some additional skill set along with AI/ML. If I talk about freshers, there are roles in AI/ML, but then they need trained freshers. So how it happens is whenever some niche technology comes into the market. So let's take an example of LinkedIn. There are lakhs and lakhs of people. Okay. Now let's say if 10 freshers are popping out that, we have tried to do these 10 open source projects on AI/ML, or we tried to do face recognition or voice recognition through some of our live projects in the college. Of course the company would want to prefer that child. So again, in last 4 years, whatever you have explored, so you should be very clear from the first year or the second year maximum, that if you want to be in this AI/ML role, you need to do live projects around that, you need to do internships around that, and the companies who are hiring freshers for this will happily accept you. इट्स नॉट लाइक कि फोर्थ ईयर में आके रियलाइज हो रहा है कि नहीं AI/ML करना है तो अब हम, इट विल नॉट वर्क like that specifically in the niche roles. If you talk about full stacks, you talk about Javas, you talk about Pythons, it could happen because it's a 2 months training you get in development and you're done. But AI/ML, generative AI, machine learning is a self-exploratory role right now. It's a 5 years old technology. So you need to outstand in some or the other way. So that way, the only solution is you do a lot of live projects, you do a lot of open source projects, you do a lot of internships. And people are open, by the way. No company denies, interns who are passionate in terms of working. They will get a lot of internships in this field. So in case they have done that, they will be happily picked up as freshers in AI/ML or Gen AI or machine learning roles as well.
I also have there are some faculty members who are from MBA institutes.
Okay.
So, what would be your insights for students who are pursuing MBAs?
So, see, management roles have a different aura altogether, honestly speaking. So, if I talk about the sales and marketing roles, if I talk about the HR roles, the com skills become the first thing. So, let's say if you're walking into management roles, it's a client facing role, you cannot negotiate on communication. They have to really work on their personality development in terms of communication, in terms of how they dress, in terms how they speak to the client. These things are very important. So all the management roles, this is a must have. Now coming on to the second part of it, categorizing. HR चाहिए है तो you figure out in HR what you need. You need a business partner role, you need recruitment role, you need operations role. Just go to the depth of each and every role. For marketing, let's say, again, if you want to go into marketing, for example, I'll give you a classic example. There was this person working with some Bangalore institute, some college in Bangalore. He posted a very good marketing campaign and very good ad for cred on LinkedIn, and he had just 300 followers on LinkedIn. Cred picked up that person as a marketing specialist at the position, and the package they offered was 25 lakh rupees. And this was a fresher picked up from LinkedIn. So, this is what he did to get a job with Cred. He targeted that I want Cred. He created an ad around Cred. He knows how fancy ads Cred creates. And by the way, the creative team for Cred is Tanmay Bhatt, one of the biggest marketing person in the era right now. So if somebody is picking up that kind of person, because he had popped out on LinkedIn pretty well. So you have to think of creative ideas if you are in marketing. Third, if you are in sales, you can never stop talking. You can never stop talking. You know, you should know how to engage the person. So it is a skill you have to develop. If you understand from day one, let's say first year MBA, you understand I want to go into this particular, let's say I want to go into sales, or I want to go into finance. Now, let's say if you want to go into finance, you cannot have formulas wrong on your Excel sheet. Very clear about it. It should be on your tips. VLOOKUP, HLOOKUP, you should be able to do it in your sleep. That is how it should be. So develop the skill set. So for that, you need to identify in the very first year that what field you want to be in and get a head start in that field. So let's say if there are 1,000 people, 1,000 students in the college, and if you are smart enough, you have decided you already have a head start in that particular field. So out of those 1,000 people, you're already two steps ahead because you have started working in a particular direction. So I think that helps.
Absolutely. I think that makes a lot of sense and resonates.
Yeah, yeah. We have done it.
Any questions for Shambhavi? This is the right time. She's here. We have got her. So,
All the time, anytime.
right. So, I
Perfect.
think thank you so much, Shambhavi, for that
Thank you,
insightful
Kamala.
and engaging address and for those tips. I'm sure the professors and faculty members will take it back to the students, and that's how, the cycle will go on.
Absolutely, absolutely. And thank you so much, Kamna, for inviting me as well. That's a wonderful opportunity and always great to work with you. So I cannot deny you any time of the day or night. I'm always available.
Oh my God. Thank you so much. Thank you.
And thank you so much for all the people who have took out time in the Monday evenings and joined us. I rest assure you, you will get the best out of this. So all the very best to all of you.
Thank you, Shambhavi. They'll be joining all
Thank
six
you.
days,
Yeah.
and then they'll be earning their certificates from AICT. And
Oh, wow. Wow.
yes,
That's
yes,
great.
there'll be an assessment which we'll take on Future Skills Prime, and all those who score 70% and above will be getting an AICT Atal Upskilling certificate from
Wow.
that'll be a Government of India certificate basically, which they'll be
That's
earning.
wonderful. That's wonderful. Our Sarkar is doing a lot of things, yeah.
Yes, yes,
Very
yes.
nice.
So,
Very nice. Great. Thank you so much, Kamla. Thank you.
thank you, Shambhavi.
Thank you for the lovely evening. Thank you. Bye, everyone. All the very best.
Thank you. And I'll also introduce now our next person is here, Mr. Paramdeep Singh. Welcome, Paramdeep. So glad to have you with us today. Thank you so much for taking out time. And we have about 84 faculty members who are already present in the webinar. We had about 160 registrations for this particular batch. So when I was talking to Shambhavi, I told her that half will definitely attend. So we have 84 people who are, currently, part of this thing. And just to introduce, Paramdeep is the founder of Short Hills AI and works very closely with US and Indian clients for their AI solutions. And it's a privilege that he has agreed to take a session on the first session, in fact, on generative AI, overview of generative AI and how it works for all of us. So please engage with him, interact. You can put your questions in the question box. and we'll take during the session, if you want to take it in between the session, you can take, or you want to take it at the end, it's your choice, Param. You can do that. So over to you for your session.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me to the session. So last one I took, I really loved interacting with people. So I do hope that this session is as engaging and interactive as the last one was. So as the last time said, I want this to be as interactive as possible. So that means if you have a question in midway, just feel free to write in the chat box or speak. I would be happy to interact, answer whatever I have the knowledge, I can answer that. And towards the end, also, we can keep maybe 10-15 minutes for questions, and we'll take it from there. So, shall I start the session, or this
Yes,
will take
please.
maybe a few minutes,
You,
40 minutes? Shall I start?
yeah, yeah, we have almost now 90 people are on the call. I mean, I think we can start the session.
Sure, sure.
Number is
And
increasing.
so, shall I share my
Yes.
screen?
Yes, please.
Yeah, sure. And just let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, it's visible. You can go full screen if you want.
Yeah, yeah, sure. So I'll just introduce myself for a minute, and then I think if there are other people who plan to join, they'll join, and we'll take it from there. So I'm Paramdeep. I'm one of the co-founders of Shortels AI, and we have been running this firm called Shortels AI for about 8 years now, where primarily we build solutions using Gen AI, Agentic AI, etc. So when we started building our firm, we actually started building stuff around NLP, that's the natural language processing. At that point of time, there's nothing called generative AI, and we started building a product where we would analyze a lot of product reviews, so e-commerce product reviews using NLP pipelines. That's where we started a company. At that point of time, NLP was relatively nascent in nature, and as it gradually progressed, ChatGPT came into picture, and that's where we pivoted a little bit and started serving enterprise customers using generative AI. So we have been building solutions using generative AI and agentic AI for about 8 years now. We have multiple large enterprise customers whom we serve, and we have built multiple solutions using AI. Prior to this, I was running an education company called EduPristine. I ran that for 10 years from 2008 till 18, where I would take sessions around financial modeling, CFA, FRM, quantitative analysis, etc. And again, I ran that company for about 10 years from 2008 till 18. And I trained more than 10,000 students around financial modeling. Out here, again, I do have a passion of speaking, and I do take some sessions around AI, machine learning, so topics that are very dear to me. And prior to running EduPristine, again, I was working as an investment banker for some time. I worked as a consultant with Accenture Management Consulting, and I did my MBA from IIM Indore, did my engineering from IIT Delhi. But that was way back. I did work as a programmer then, and I do want to work as a programmer now, and I can show you how generative AI is actually enabling me to do that. So although I haven't actively programmed for the last few years, but given that AI has made it so simple to code, I have also started programming, creating agents, etc. So maybe if time permits, I will show you how I do that, and if you want to copy some of the tricks that I'm using, feel free to do that. So that's a little bit about me. That's the agenda of the session. Again, this is an introductory session. I will try to touch base on almost everything that will come in detail in the following sessions over the next few days. Um, but this is the broad agenda. I will not start with what is generative AI. I will start with what generative AI can do. So it almost looks like magic what generative AI can do, and I'll show you some of that magic, and then I'll try to explain what's the method behind this magic. So how is it that the large language models are able to do what they're able to do? And then we'll play a little bit on the levers. So for example, let's say if you change this, what happens? How can you change the output that you're looking for? What are the models, etc.? What are the important levers that generative AI has? So that you understand a little bit on how you can control this beast. We will then look at the impact of generative AI on multiple industries. So interestingly, usually you would see a technology that has an impact on one industry. Interestingly, this is a technology that has impacted industries left, right, and center. So it's not companies that are being impacted, but literally industries that are being impacted. So we'll speak a little bit about that. And then I do want to spend some time on agentic AI because that is the talk of the town, and I think it's a very interesting proposition that generative AI has brought into the picture. That's the broad agenda I have in mind. Wherever you feel you already know stuff, feel free to stop me. I can just move on. Wherever you feel I'm going fast, feel free to tell me. I can slow it down a little bit. So before we move forward, I can show you some magic, and I'm not sure as in how many of you have used this tool. This tool is called Google LM. Uh, yeah. Google Notebook LM. So, and this tool is again, most of the tools that I show will be free. So that means you can try those tools out for free. So if you go to Notebook LM, so just search for Google Notebook LM, and and during this presentation, I will show a lot of Google tools that I use, or ChatGPT that I use, or Comet or Perplexity that I use. But those are not the only tools that are there in the market. There are multiple other tools that are available. I would encourage you to search for the functionality and then figure out other tools that could possibly be there. But this is one tool that is so powerful. So this is called Google Notebook LM. It's a free to use tool. You can just go and then try Notebook LM, and it will open this window for you. So you can create a notebook, or do whatever you want to do. The first functionality I would like to show, and this I have already uploaded on Notebook LM. So just give me a screen. How do I move this? Yeah. So what I did was that I uploaded this specification. So this specification sheet on Notebook LM. Now what this does is that this is a specification sheet for an Omron switch, and I can show you what I uploaded. So you can just search for Omron switch. You can just search for home run switch. So, for example, I would go to this and then get the specs. And these are fairly complicated documents. So, for example, these if you download one of these documents, the specifications, and you download the PDF from this, you can see that it's a very very complicated PDF that you get. So, for example, there are multiple tables, multiple graphs, multiple charts, etc. So once you download this and you try to answer some question, this is a very technical document. So for example, I would not even know what these switches mean. So for example, let's say if I go to one of these switches, I go to the specification, I can download this document, but the problem is that it's very difficult to understand this document because there are so many um, parameters within the document. So you can say there's a resistive load, there's a lamp load, inductive load, and I would not even know half of these parameters. The interesting part about this tool called Google Notebook LM is that once you have uploaded, you can literally ask questions in plain English. So, for example, I've uploaded this specification on Google LM's the Google LM notebook, and it will prompt me some of the questions. For example, if I ask a question, which switches have cold resistant operating temperature range, it will find this range for me. And from within the documents, it can literally extract this and then generate this information from me. And that is not the only thing that it can do. It can generate an audio overview for me. For example, I can just go to this audio overview. If it has not already generated an audio overview, it will take some time to generate that. It can generate a video overview for me. So for example, if I just go to this one, it will generate a complete presentation and a video overview. Hey everyone. For me. So for example, if I just play this, seems to be a little slow. I can you hear me? Is the audio okay? I just want to be sure. Hello, is my audio okay?
Your audio is there. The
Oh,
video also started
yeah, I
playing, but
think.
then it went away.
Yeah, I think there is some issue in terms of the speed of the internet or something like that. So it can generate an audio overview, it can generate a video overview, it can even generate an interactive podcast for you. So, for example, if you play this podcast, and I think there's some issue with the service, maybe, um, but yeah, this is one of the issues that we face. Let me refresh and see if I can generate that.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're looking at something that
So there is
sounds
a complete
maybe a bit
there's a
standard.
complete podcast that it can generate for you, and while running the
Industrial
podcast,
limit switches.
you can literally join the
Specifically, the
podcast.
Omron WLN. Oh, hey there, what's up?
So I would like to ask a question. What is the temperature range for the switches? And
Yes, you got it.
You are absolutely right.
We were just about to say it.
So specifically the Omron WLN and WLG series.
And thank you for chiming in.
But trust me, the engineering complexity packed into these things is pretty amazing.
so what it can do for you is that it can generate audio, it can generate slides, it can generate mind maps, it can generate videos, it can even answer questions for you. So it does take some time to generate. I don't know. There seems to be some issue in my internet, but or maybe the tool at this point of time. But what it can do for you is that it can generate audio, video, mind maps, reports based on very complicated and technical documents that you have uploaded. And that is the real power of AI, that it can understand stuff and it almost works like magic. So I can upload documents and I can get AI to answer questions for me. So and usually sort of doing this stuff was relatively very difficult till about maybe 2 years ago, or till maybe about a year ago, because understanding English for computers was almost impossible. So the only language that they would understand is a programming language, which could be Python, C, Java, or one of the languages that you know about, a JavaScript. But computers could not understand English. It is the first time that we have human computer interaction in plain English. So that means you can literally give a command in English and it'll do stuff for you. So, and it can transcribe, summarize information for you. Literally, you just upload an audio and it can summarize information for you. You can upload an audio and ask for specific information from within the audio that you have uploaded. You can upload videos also and it'll try to find value for you. You can upload documents and then ask questions from within the document. It can find answers from within the documents. It can even generate images for you. I don't know if you've tried this or not. So there's this tool called Google AI Studio. So and I'll maybe show this. So you just search for Google AI Studio, and this is again free to use. So just like Gemini, there is this tool called Google AI Studio, and you can use this model called Nano Banana Pro. You can literally like use this model to generate uh, images for you. So let's say I'm taking a class, I can just maybe uh, take my photograph. Is that okay? It'll get saved. I can just copy this image. I'm not sure if this, yeah, I can just, let's see if this pastes and update this image to the person taking an actual class in a classroom on AI. Make sure that the features of the face do not change. So I can just run this command. I don't know why it's not taking up this, some issue. There is. Well, there's some issue that I'm facing right now, but just hold on for a second and let me try this again. Let me take a model that's simpler in nature. Just Okay. And I can just upload file. And yeah. And just like magic, it can change my photograph, it can edit photographs, it can generate text, it can edit text and do a lot of other stuff that's possible. So you can see that sort of it has changed the background to a classroom, and again, as we improve the prompt, it can do a lot of other editing also. So I can just say that take this person near, so I can again so build on top of the image and take the person, and let's say show the person taking to be presenting the screen. And again, sort of this is just the beginning. You can edit the photograph as you want. So that is the real power of AI. It can edit images for you, it can write text for you, it can create videos for you. So multiple other things that are possible. Right now it doesn't seem to follow my command, but yeah. So I can just take an image, edit that image. I can improve the prompt. So as I write these prompts, as I ask AI to follow my commands, I can keep improving these commands that I give to AI, and it can keep improving the overall output that's being generated. So one thing we need to understand is that just like when we were interacting with computers earlier, we needed to learn Python, Java, or one of the programming languages. Similarly, now that we are interacting with computers using English, the key to interact is basically to prompt, to ask AI to do something. And the clearer that prompt is, the more unambiguous that prompt is, the better that outcome is going to be. So prompt engineering really has become an important aspect of interacting with the model. So there is a generative AI model, the large language model, or the transformer model that's doing the stuff for you. And when you are interacting with the model, you need to prompt that model to do something for you. And the technique to do that is called prompting. And prompting has gained significant importance over the last few years, so that sort of you can interact properly with the model. And there are multiple prompting techniques that are possible. So I would really encourage you all. I think we have a session on prompting also, but I would encourage you all to search for prompting techniques, and some of these are also listed out here, but I would still encourage you to go try those prompts out. The good part about generative AI, at least today, is that most of these tools are free to use. So you can go to ChatGPT, you can go to Comet, or a Google AI Studio, or a Gemini, and you can run most of this stuff for free. So it doesn't cost you time to do that. So you should all give it a try. And that's not the end. It can generate videos for you. So literally you can upload text, you can upload a few images, and it can generate complete videos out for you. So for example, this is one place where that video is being generated by AI that can sort of generate the video for you. The other part to remember again is that people are using these to do good stuff, and people are using this to do bad stuff. So, for example, people are utilizing these deep fakes and the AI generated videos to con people also, which is obviously not something that was intended to do. But again, sort of, I think this is one thing that is happening. So there's a model called Google VO that can actually generate a lot of videos for you, and there are multiple other models as well. And just like writing, AI can be very effectively used for translation. That means you can go from, let's say, French to English, from English to German, from Hindi to Sanskrit, whatever. So it can translate text for you. Just like it can translate text, it can also translate natural language into code. So I'll show you one interesting outcome of this. For example, Google has this product called Stitch. Now, what Stitch does is that you give it a prompt and it can generate it can generate these designs for you. So, for example, I give it a prompt that I want to create a dashboard for a car dealership. It's financial screen, and this car dealership. I want to show the profile of the dealer and the dealership. I want to show a dashboard. The dashboard have these components, etc. And just giving this prompt, it can generate a full design for me. So one thing I can do is that I can record a call with my client. From that recorded call, I can figure out what are the design aspects that were discussed. I can generate a complete design for me. Now, once I have the design, I can just go to Google AI Studio. It has this product called Build. So just like we had a playground to chat, there's this product called Build. You can just go to this, give it your idea or your design and the images, and it can generate complete code for you. And this code is actually a working code. For example, this is actually a code that it has automatically generated. So, and the good part about this code is that this code actually works on your mobile, it works on your laptop, and all the screens that are there. You can just change, and it'll show you mobile design, and this is a complete implementation. So so sort of you can use AI to write code as well. So that is the real power of AI. Now I have been speaking a lot about it. So it almost looks like magic, where you give a prompt in plain English, and AI can do that work for you. So before I move forward, I would really love to understand if you have any questions at this point of time that you would like to know in terms of the usability and the magic part of AI. If there's any questions, would be happy to answer. And let me open this. How do I see the chat? Um, just give me a second. How to see the chat window? Just a second. Let me see. How do I see the chat? Yeah. Yeah. So, what is the degree of accuracy in the answer, and how do you ensure that it is not hallucinating to the fact? See, obviously, as I said, these are generative models, so there is no 100% guarantee that the answer that you're looking for would be uh, accurate. It's a generative model, so there is no 100% guarantee. But now with techniques like RAG, grounding, etc., people have been able to improve the overall accuracy of the answer. But as I move forward, I will explain that this is actually a generative model. That means it generates answers for you. Uh, there is no 100% guarantee of a correct answer, but in terms of degree of accuracy, I would say that with RAG, making sure that sort of what you're looking for, uh, I see that there is a good amount of accuracy that you can get, maybe 95% plus accuracy of the facts that you're looking for. Any other questions that you have at this point of time? Yeah, Dr. Shivani says that she has used, I think, one of the Google tools. But anybody else who has any questions at this point of time? Okay, I will then just move forward. Yeah. So how does generative AI work? So see, intuitively, let us try to answer this question. So let's say if I were to ask you a question. So I took my car and I'm going to. Now tell me what are the possible outcomes that are there. So what could you write? So there's a simple sentence. I took my car and I'm going to dash. So what are the possible answers that people could be writing? So there's obviously a home, there's an office. But tell me one, how would you complete this sentence? So it's as simple as completing a sentence. So yeah, so Kavita said it's some place. So I took my car and I'm going to some place. That is a possibility. But yeah, what are the other possibilities? So home, office. How else can you complete this? Can you complete this sentence? So give me options that I can use, and that will help us understand how generative AI is generating text. So there's home, there's some place. What else are the possibilities? Market, sure. What else could be there? I am really struggling with these screens today. Yeah. Okay, temple, market, home. Okay, what else could be there? School. Oh, fair enough. What else? College. Fair enough. Sharanya says office, college. Fair enough. So just like we have looked at a lot of text in the past, and generally when you see a sentence, I took my car and I'm going to. People could be either saying home, office, gym, temple, somewhere. So there are sort of possibilities of what how you could complete this sentence. So now if there is no other context, then let's assume there are three possibilities: there's an office, home, or gym. Then obviously maybe all the three could be equally likely, so you could either say office or home or gym if, let's say, these were the only three possibilities. Now just like that, what generative AI or what an AI model or a large language model has done is that it has looked at a plethora of data in the past. So it has looked at all the sentences that are there on the internet. So it has gone through all the sentences on Wikipedia, it has gone through all the sentences on the web, and what it has done is that it has calculated a probability. So it took a look at this sentence. So I took my car and I'm going to. So it has calculated a probability that these are the things that people could be saying. So let's say if there were these three possibilities, office, home, or gym, all of these three are going to be equally likely. And that is how it is going to complete the sentence. So it can take any one of these three words and then complete the sentence. So that is the way it starts generating the next word. So generating the next word is like probability of the next word given the previous words. So these are the previous words. What is the probability of the next word? Now let's say if I were to change the sentence and give you more context. So it's 8 a.m. in the morning. I took my car and I'm going to. Now, how would you update the probabilities? What could you possibly say now? Would you still say home, office, gym? Would your numbers change? So it's 8 a.m. in the morning. I took my car and I'm going to. So what are the possibilities that you see there? So would it still be office, temple, school, college, park? Fair enough. How would you change the possibilities? How would you change the probabilities? And let's say if there were just two options available, there is an office and there is a home, how would you change? What would be your possible answer here? How would you complete this sentence? It's 8 a.m. in the morning. I took my car and I'm going to. Would it be office or home? Office, fair enough. So almost everybody is now converging to an office, and this is typically how generative AI works. It looks at the context. So in the previous slide there was no context, right? So we did not give any other context. So obviously there is a complete possibility that it can be either office or home. And now that we have given it more context, so probability of the word given the previous words. So you can see that the previous words out here were just these, but given the additional context that it's 8 a.m. in the morning, I update my probabilities. And you can see that most of the people are now converging to an office if there are just two possibilities. And this is precisely how AI is working or generative AI is working. What it is doing is that it is looking at the previous generated text or the previous given text. So, for example, let's say this is the previous given text and it is generating a probability of the next word to be filled in the sentence. Is that okay? So it is just updating the probability. And as you can see, given the context that it's 8 a.m., the probability the next word would be office is far higher. So most likely it will try to complete the sentence with the with an office. Is that okay? And what it has done is that it has looked at like hundreds and thousands and hundreds of thousands of sentences, and it changed the sort of probable answer. It says that the most likely word is work or office, which is like maybe 5 million and 4 million. There is a possibility that it's still 4 million gym, maybe another 2.5 million school. And there are still people who are going to home. maybe people work in a BPO or a night shift, but obviously the probabilities drastically go down. So you can see that most of the answers we found, the office, gym, school, right? So these are things that people do in the morning. So and what AI has done is that it has looked at the sentences and then created probabilities that given the context that it's 8 a.m. in the morning, the probability that the next word will be office, work, gym, or school is far higher than the probability of going to home. So it has not really understood what we try to mean, but what it has done is that it has created a complete network of probabilities. What could be the next word given the previous set of words? That is why it's called generative AI. It's generating the next word, but generating the next word is nothing. It is just updating probabilities based on the context. Now, if I were to change the sentence and say it's 7 p.m. in the morning, I took my car and I'm going to, what would be the most probable next word? So, yeah, future skills is attend Zoom meetings. Sure, fair enough. It could be gym. Uh, what else could be the next word possible? Temple, fair enough. Or it could be, if there was just two words, let's say home or office, what would be your next updated probability? Let's say between the two words, between a home and office, obviously probability of a home increases significantly. So most likely, or it could be to pick groceries or home, but if there were just two words, then obviously the probability of a home increases significantly. And as you said, it could be groceries, so that means I'm going to the store, or I'm going to a dinner, or I'm going to movies. The probabilities of these words increase significantly. So how is the generative part working? The generative part is actually probability of a new word given the old set of words, right? So the moment I have the most probable word with me, the easiest strategy would be to put a home here. So if I were to just think blatantly, I can just pick up home and put it there. But that is not how exactly it works. It would take up the top three words, maybe the home, store, and dinner in this case, and then pick up one of these. Obviously, the probability of picking home is highest, but it can still be a store or a dinner. And that is why you see the creativity in the answer. You don't see the same answer being generated again and again. So every time you rerun your AI, it could be a home, store, or a dinner, or movies, right? The way that works is that there is a parameter called top p, and we'll come to the parameters, the levels to change generative AI output. But it can still get creative because it is not always picking up home. It can pick up any of the probable words. Is that part clear to you, as in terms of how it picks up the next word, and why this is the generative model? Is that part clear? Are there any questions that you would like to ask? I am not getting any answers. So am I still audible? Is this clear? Okay, it's clear. Fair enough. Uh, if there are any questions, I would really like to hear them, look at the questions, and then if I can answer, would be happy to answer those. Yeah, okay, fair enough. So So, in a nutshell, if you look at generative AI, how does it work? So, there's an input stream that is coming in. So, there is an input text that comes in. Now, AI is still at the background. It's still mathematical models. So, it cannot work on English. So, what it does is that it converts that English into numbers. So, there's a process called encoding, and I think this is an important slide to know. You need not understand it completely, but still, just to understand, given the input text English, it would convert this into a vector form, is that it will convert this into numbers. Then it does some jugglery on numbers. Given it updates the probability of the next number to come in, then it decodes that number and gives you an English output. At the background, there's still numbers that are working. So you get input English, you convert that into numbers. You, based on what's happened earlier, based on the language, what you're expecting, it will update the next number. It will give you what the next number should be. Then it will decode that number for you and get you the output. So so it's basically functions that change you from a vector to a vector. So that means at the background, it's still numbers that are working. at the background, it's updating the probabilities of these vectors that are coming out. Is that okay? So if there's one thing that you take away from this slide, it's that uh, AI still does not understand English. What it does is that it converts this English into a number. It updates what the next probability of the next number should be. Then it gives you the next number, and then it decodes that. That means maps the number to an English output that you see. So any questions that are there at this point of time? So generative AI, as it is a small subset of a larger umbrella called artificial intelligence. So what is artificial intelligence? That's the place where people are trying to simulate the human brain using computers. So initially you had rule-based logic that people were trying to write. Then people started doing more statistical analysis around how possibly numbers could be predicted with AI. So that means people looked at regression analysis, logistic regression, or let's say a gradient boosting method, and so on. So then you had a subset of machine learning where it's not just numbers, but numbers that work on top of neural network. So neural network is a network where sort of people are trying to mimic human brains. So that means you have neurons and you have connection between the neurons. So that's called deep learning. And generative AI is again a subset of deep learning where you have like huge models that actually work on top of language data, and they try to generate the next pattern. Looking at the previous pattern, they try to generate the next output token. And as I showed you, it can generate text, it can generate audio, it can generate video, it can generate images. But all of these are like generated, and what you need to understand is that there is no magic that's happening at the background. In the background, what's happening is actually probability of the next token, so to say, the token, given that we have these tokens that have already flowed in. So it's just the next token that is being generated. Any questions that are there at this point of time? Would be happy to look at it. I know this is a bit technical in nature, but this is an important aspect to understand. So if you have any questions here, would be happy to answer. So Chintan is a question. So can you tell about a workflow or some trick which will increase the consistency of similar response according to the requirements? For example, to make notes in a particular outline and format whenever I ask Gemini to create notes. Oh, sure, sure. We will come to the levels of generative AI as we move forward. In fact, that is the next section that we are going to look at, and that's where we'll see how to control the outcome of AI. I will answer that question in detail, Chintan, as we move forward. Any questions? So, what is the mathematics behind it? So the basic Subro, the basic maths behind this is neural networks. So so uh, uh, so a neural network is like a regression model. I don't know if you looked at the regression model or not. So it's like a function that tries to get to the probability of the next word. But yeah, so it's like a prediction model or any regression model that's there. But apart from regression, there are also other mathematical functions that make it non-linear in nature. So regression model is linear in nature. This can make it non-linear in nature. So how to learn the mathematics behind it? So the easiest would be to start with statistics, but there are multiple videos and other tutorials available on the internet. So I love one set of channel called Campus X, and he explains this pretty nicely how deep learning works. So I am really a good fan Campus X, where you can look at this step by step. So I think there are about 100 videos step by step, so very easily explained how let's say deep learning works and how generative AI LLMs work. So I would encourage you to search on YouTube. Yeah, Campus X, that's right. So I really like those videos. He explains it very well. But I'm sure there are other videos available. Similarly, I think there is one channel called Three Blue, One Green, or something like that. So So that again explains things very well. But it's a bit mathematical in nature. Canvas X is again a bit mathematical, but I still feel he explains things very well. I like it. So there are personal choices, but yes. So you can again search on YouTube. You'll get a tremendous amount of free material on the internet itself. Google has a free course on it, a certification course. Almost every large player has a full certification course on it. Any other questions at this point of time? Okay, I'll just move forward. So I think the next question, the queue is already there. So what are the important levers? How can you actually change the output? So let me start from um, so let's look at Google. Just give me a second. I Steve. Yeah. So let's look at the various models that are there. So you can just go to. So these are the possible models that are there. So obviously, see, it's a generative model. So so what it does is that it generates text for you, right? So let's look at the Gemini Flash model. So what Gemini Flash does, it you can look at the models that are there. So if you go to Google AI Studio or if you go to a Chat GPT, right? The first thing it shows you is that a model. Is that okay? So what is a model? So model is actually a neural network. So it's a full neural network. It like simulates your brain and it can complete a task for you. So for example, if I'm looking at let's say generating text, is that okay? I can just go to the models and I can look at a Gemini 2.5 Pro. Is that okay? It says this is an advanced reasoning model that excels at coding and complex reasoning tasks. Our hybrid reasoning model, that is a 1 million context window. So our smallest and most effective cost model for built for scale. So let's start with this one. Is a very simple model. So this is the first thing that it has. It is called a model. So that is like the brain, the most difficult part that you want to control. Is that okay? So if I want to just write a poem, I can ask this model because this generate text for me. So I can write a poem on generative AI sessions online. Is that okay? It will generate a poem for me. Is that okay? So it just generates a poem for me. So this generates text for me. Is that okay? Now, obviously, as I said, so given the context, it is trained to follow an instruction. So the instruction was to write a poem, and you can see that it writes a poem. So and you can see that this is like it says that our smallest and most cost-effective model built for scale at usage. So obviously, this is like maybe $0.1 for a million tokens. Is that okay? That's like a cheap model, and it generates text for you. And the first thing that we need to control is which model are you looking for. So if you're looking for to edit images, then Google Nano Banana is the model. If you're trying to write tasks, if you want to complete tasks like writing code or complex reasoning tasks, what to do next, is that okay? Then probably you should go for a Gemini 2.5 Pro or a Gemini 3 Pro. So let's say if I want to go again, I just go to Gemini 2.5 Pro. Is that okay? And I want to now create a plan for me. So search on the internet and create a plan for me to learn the mathematics behind generative AI. Give me a weekly planner. So that's depending on how large your brain is. Now you can see that this has this thinking model. That okay, it is creating a structured learning path, and you can look at the way it has thought through what you're trying to do. Is that okay? So, and then it creates a full plan for you. So it says that first thing you should do is maybe learn algebra, then learn probability and statistics, then optimization, then maybe apply some of these concepts and so on. So it has created a plan for me, created references for me. So I think there's one question that how do you make sure that it does not hallucinate? So you can ask it to ground with truth. Is that okay? And there is this grounding search available. So there's this feature called grounding search available. It will make sure that whatever you are generating is actually based on facts and not just uh, it is generating these on its own. Again, as I said, there's no 100% guarantee that there will be no hallucination. It's still possible, but this will make sure that it does search before writing. So the first thing to note is that it's like the brain. This is the most important part, the model. Is that okay? So just like ChatGPT, you have GPT 5.1, you have GPT 5, and so on. Within Claude, you have Claude Opus, you have multiple models within Claude. Similarly, with Google, you have Gemini 2.5 Pro. And there are multiple other models possible. So there's this site called Hugging Face where you can go and download these models also. So for example, if you go to Hugging Face, is that okay? And you click on models, you can see that there are these models that are possible. Again, some of these models are not that easy to run because they do require a GPU to run. But some of these you can just download and run. The good part about Hugging Face is that these models are open source. That means you can download and then run them on your machine. You are not dependent on internet. And you can see that these are tasks that these models can do. So, for example, there will be a separate model for text classification. There can be a separate model for text to speech. There can be separate model for tabular classification, reinforcement learning, and so on. So, depending on the task that you have, you can choose a model. So, just remember, model is like a brain that you will use. Is that okay? So, any questions that you have at this point of time? Okay, that's the first level that you have. Then the second level, as you can see, is a system instruction. So you can give it a new instruction saying that next time, this is the expertise that I have. Is that okay? So you're a poet and you want to write romantic poems. And if you give this instruction, you can see that I can just go to a playground and I give that I'm going to use this expertise, which is the expertise of a poet, which is write romantic poems. I can just use this and I can again say write a poem on AI online session, and you can see that the tone would change. So now I'm changing the tone of the text that is being generated. Is that okay? And obviously in this case I have used a larger model, so it thinks about it. So Sakesh are deep, right? With logic teams, I found a love of her. So you can see that the tone has changed. Is that okay? So this is a system instruction. So whatever you want to give the model as a whole, that's called a system instruction. So next time, every time I generate something, the poem would be romantic in nature. So this is like the brain. This is like the instruction or the persona that has been created. Then there's an API key. That means you can obviously, these are like, I'm trying this out free, but you can get a paid model that will be where you can do much more than what I'm doing right now. Then, as I said, I think somebody was asking how much creativity are you looking for? So this is controlled by this parameter called temperature. So lower the temperature, the lower the creativity. Higher the temperature, the more it can hallucinate or generate an answer for you. Is that okay? This is another lever in your hand where you can just increase the temperature and it will generate text that can be completely random. So it will generate text on its own. So if you want to reduce the overall creativity, you want to make sure that whatever text you have given, it just gives the answer from within that text. You should remove the temperature to zero. So then it will not pick up anything that is not certain about. Again, there's no 100% guarantee that it will not hallucinate, but the chances of hallucination go down as you decrease the temperature. So is that clear to you? Any questions around this? I think somebody had Chintan had asked this question. Is this clear? How do you increase the consistency? The one way to increase the consistency would be to decrease the temperature. So temperature, uh, as you increase the temperature, it increases the probability of generating text that is hallucinated. Is that okay? So in this case, the model does not give you access to another parameter, but there's another parameter called top P. So you can search for this parameter called top P LLM. So some models do give you access to top P. Is that okay? So top P again, as you decrease top P, is that okay? Or top N. So there are two parameters called top P and top N. The chances of hallucination go down. Is that okay? Gemini does not give you access to top P. So top P is like how many words do I want to take um, uh, based on the probability of based on the previous words. How many words should I pick up as a sample for the next word? So that's there. Again, media resolution is very specific to generative model. This you've already seen. You can see that some models think before the write, and you can set a thinking budget saying that these are the maximum tokens that I can use uh, to think. Beyond that, just write for me. Is that okay? There is structured output possible right now. You can see it's text output. I can ask it to generate code. I can ask it to generate structured output, which can be JSON or a mapping object. So these are the important levers that are there within the LLMs. Would be happy to answer any questions that you have at this point of time. Is that okay? So the most important, as I said, is the model brain, which is the main model that you're going to use. The second is the system instruction, which says what should be the overall persona of the model. Third is the temperature. How much creativity do you have? There's the thinking tokens, as in how many tokens do you want the model to think through? Is that okay? As you increase, the model can think and then write, but that becomes more expensive. Then whether you're looking for a structure output or code execution and so on. So these are levels that are possible. Feel free to ask any questions that you have at this point of time. As I said, there are two kinds of models possible. One is called a closed source model. That means these models are owned by a large technology company like a Google or a Microsoft or a Claude, Anthropic, or an AWS. And then there are open source models that you can use. You can download those models free and then run them on your own. We've already spoken about what system instruction and temperature is, and then we have looked at the thinking mode and structure output. But yeah, so if you have any questions at this point of time, feel free to ask. Would be happy to to answer. So the question that Subro has is, if I build my own personalized chat GPT, would the answers getting it come under plagiarism? It depends on how you are building that model. But generally, this is one place where there is a lot of confusion in terms of whether it's plagiarism or not. See, internet in general, people can use internet. So if I look at the internet and start creating my own answer, is that plagiarism? Difficult to say whether it's yes or no. But that question is still open. So you can see that there are a lot of court cases that celebrities have put against AI, where they're using celebrity voice and videos and images to generate content. So I think that is still under consideration with the courts. But in general, I think people are using models. There is no way to get out of generative AI now. So I think if you create your own content, just be sure you're not using content that is copyrighted. There is no question. There is no issue with plagiarism. So Vijay has a question: is there a model available for prediction as open source? So what kind of prediction are you using at? Are you looking at, Vijay? So so is it because see, most of the prediction models are open source in nature. So for example, if you go to scikit-learn, you can create a prediction. So but generally, if you're looking at prediction, let's say you can look at this Profit. So there is this model called Profit. I think this is a Facebook Profit. Yeah, this model is basically a forecasting model. It's open source and free in nature. Similarly, if you go to regression model, or let's say look at PyCaret, this is again a model that is open source and free to use. So you can use these models for free. So Profit, PyCaret, these are all prediction models. But similarly, scikit-learn is all open source. You can use, and these are very good prediction models. This has very good prediction models. So you can use a GBM or a regression model for free on these repos. So for research writing, which AI is more helpful? Can you suggest? I think overall, ChatGPT or Gemini, if you properly ground it, you can use it for research writing. We do use GPT, ChatGPT, and ChatGPT means GPT 5.1, and and Gemini to do that. Yeah, GPT 5.1 is, yeah, ChatGPT, I think it's called GPT 5.1. So So there's this Atlas. You can see there's this model that it has. It can generate do stuff for me. So if you go to this one, I think on the free version it doesn't allow you to change the model, but yeah. So GPT 5.1 or Gemini, both I feel are equally good. So what about prompt engineering? So you can just search on the internet prompt engineering tutorials. So I think Google has a nice one about prompt engineering. You can look at that, Mahalakshmi. Any other questions at this point of time? Just for humanize the text, which tool is good for AI? Again, I I usually write text using AI and then edit that on my own. So for me, the process is still a human in the loop. So that means I can get the output from there, but I still edit it on my own, so it looks very real in nature. So right now, I'm just doing that on my own. But I've seen people writing prompts that makes it very human in nature. So you can search on the Google for humanizing text using AI prompts, and I'm sure you will find some stuff. But I usually do that on my own without reading. I do not send out stuff. What does it take when too much AI is being used by students fail to do even the basics? See, it really, this is really a tool, Subro, that you can use. So every tool has its own positives and negatives. So I really think that overall the positives of the tool are far better than the negatives of the tool. I can show you the methodology that I use to teach my son using AI. So I can just show you what I do. So what I would typically do is that if I look at Google AI Studio, and again, I am a big fan, but yeah, if I use Google AI Studio, I just go to this one and just hold on. So if I go to the playground, what I would do is that, see, initially when I was trying to teach my son, I would go and then try to understand the chapter and then sort of help explain the chapter. Now, what I do is that I use AI to do that, and I'll show you what I've done. So maybe that helps you. So, for example, let's say, um, let me see this and then. So what I would do is that I would just either ask a question or get my son to do stuff, and then I would upload that question and the answer that he has given, and then help evaluate that using AI. So you can literally upload the question, the answer that he has given, and help evaluate. So so see, generally these kind of helps initially either would take a lot of time or you needed an expert to help you with these topics. So example, I am teaching my son, let's say, what happens when you add KMNO4 to let's say ethyl alcohol or propenyl alcohol. Now, unless you can engage an expert, very difficult to answer. But now it helps me understand that concept very well. So what happens? Why is this happening? And then you can use this tool to learn more. So I would say that it's a tool in your hand. How you utilize that tool is up to you. So so I would say that still the overall benefits far overpower the negatives with the tool. So Subra has a question that can it be animated? Yes. So as I said, you should try out the notebook LM that actually creates good animations within the presentations. But generally, I haven't seen a model that can it can cartoonify your image. I haven't seen whether it can animate stuff and show that for you, but I've seen people create pipelines to animate also. Yeah, I will just move on. So So what is the impact that it has on multiple on industries? Again, this is one tool that has actually impacted a lot of industries. So it is a tool that has far-reaching impact. So as I said, software development, it has really changed the game. So you can literally create design, manage projects, create product specifications, write code, debug code, create test cases. Everything is possible using AI, and it is really improving the overall productivity of the developers and software engineering as a whole. And I think some of the key tools that I find are very useful: Google Gemini, or let's say the Google AI Studio Build. Similarly, GitHub Copilot or Cursor. So these tools are like must use. And recently, if you are actually into programming, I've used this. Google released this tool called Anti-Gravity, and this can write code like anything. So I just wrote, let's say, I wrote agents to do stuff for me. So for example, break PDFs into smaller PDFs for me. Literally, like within 10-15 minutes you can write the full code. So I literally started, you can see that I started a few days ago. I want to create an agent using Google ADK, and this is the requirement that I have. It can write code, everything it can run, and you can see that it actually the code uh, can run for you. It can actually break larger PDFs into smaller pieces for you. So it's a very powerful tool I found. So just like Cursor, there's this tool called Google Anti-Gravity that you can use to write code. It is, I feel, a very powerful tool. And this is not the only thing that's happening. So almost everything. So if you want to write SQL, if you want to write um, uh, JavaScript code, everything is possible using AI tools. And I would say that, if you, I don't know if you looked at it or not. So if you go to YouTube, a lot of times you would see advertisements coming in where sort of companies are trying to sell their software that can write code for you for non-programmers. So that means you have an idea, it can write the software for you. And I don't know about production, but definitely from the perspective of writing code, from POC perspective or a proof of concept perspective, I think it works wonderfully. So that means with an idea you can write code, which wasn't possible till about just maybe 6 months ago. So this is one industry that's really being impacted with AI. So any questions that you have on this one? So for creating promotional videos, which tool is good? Again, I would not know the exact tool, but I know Google VO has a tool to create videos. So Google's tool for creating videos is VO, and I think Mid Journey is also pretty popular. So you can look at Mid Journey or Google VO, or I think Imagen or Imagen is again another tool. So similarly, in health sciences and life sciences, I think drug discovery takes a lot of time, and there's a lot of documentation that is required within drug discovery. So you would look at APQR or a CSR, where you have to file these documents with the regulator, and that's a very cumbersome process. And again, generative AI and AI makes that process easier. So that means you can upload all the documents that you have and help write the supporting documents using generative AI. It's a very powerful tool as far as health sciences and life sciences are concerned. And it is really speeding up the process of writing documentation, presenting those documents to the regulator, and it's pretty powerful there. Apart from that, I think Google has also a model called MedPalm 2 or an AlphaFold 2 that is actually being used for drug discovery as well. So that means that it's actually a core product being used for drug discovery. So again, far-reaching impacts as far as health sciences are concerned. Within financial services, again, we have used that for fraud reduction, to figure out stuff around uh, anomaly detection. So that means if there is an anomalous transaction that's happening, again, AI can help you point that out. And then again, from reporting perspective, that means if you are a bank and you want to report to the regulator, that's maybe RBI. Again, some of the tools that are being built with generative AI, they're very powerful. So primarily around risk modeling, reporting, algorithmic trading, understanding a lot of text data that is coming in, and then creating solutions around that. Financial services is being impacted. Media and entertainment, as you can see, it can generate audio, video, text. So there's this tool called Suno that can actually generate music also for you, and it's a generative tool um, that generates audio for you. And media industry, as you can see, is all up in arms, where a lot of celebrities are actually reaching out to these AI models uh, through litigations, through cases where they feel they are being cheated because some of their old content is being used by AI to train itself and then generate very similar looking content for themselves. So these industries are are a few examples of what is being impacted, but I think the overall impact of generative AI and AI in general is far reaching in nature. So any questions on these industries before we move forward to customer service? Any questions on these industries that are being impacted by AI? Would be happy to answer. Any questions? Any place where you are seeing AI being utilized within an industry? So whichever industry you are working in, any specific application that you are seeing, would be happy to know about that. Okay, I will just move on in that case. So again, this is one industry that is being impacted heavily because of AI. So customer service. So initially, you would have a lot of people supporting tickets. So that means if you had a query, you would go to a customer service agent who would then try to answer that query for you, and then act on top of that query. Now, this is being continuously challenged by the AI bots. So that means there are AI bots that actually look at your query and then try to answer that query for you. Not just that, it can look at the databases and then answer more complicated queries for you as well. So, for example, if you go to a ticket booking site, a hotel booking site, AI one can give you everything about policies. So that means you can just upload all the policies to AI. It'll answer questions regarding policies. Two, if you want to know more about what's happening from your perspective. Let's say you want to change, edit a booking, you want to cancel a booking, you want to book a new hotel. It can go into the database and then look at your stuff and then help you with the booking, etc. It can edit everything. It can also go and outbound call you to get your booking, etc. So that means it can call for you, it can answer questions for you, it can make changes for you, make reservations for you, and act as your agent. And that has become really powerful. So this industry is being completely revamped by AI. So customer service, you would see that there is a huge impact in terms of how things work. Similarly, in terms of retail, if you look at hyper personalized ads, so if you go to a YouTube these days, you would see that there's hyper personalized ads. Similarly, a lot of e-commerce sites, when they show the marketing copy for you, it'll be very personalized for you, and that is all possible just because of AI. It'll sort of take in all the data that it has about you, amalgamate all of that together, create a pipeline, and then write a very specific message for you that is very, very specific for you. So this again is one industry that is being impacted, especially from customer acquisition angle. Within education and training, as I showed you, I use AI a lot to build learning paths from my perspective. Similarly, we are working with clients that are actually building AI tutors. So, for example, let's say there's a video tutor that actually interacts with people. There's a full lip sync, a video tutor where you can ask questions and learn from a tutor in your own personalized manner. And all of that is being possible just because of AI. I already showed you this tool called Google Notebook LM. That also has a very nice feature to learn stuff. That means whatever you're trying to understand, the books, the material, you can just upload to Google Notebook LM and then create a create a mind map, a video, a presentation based on that content. That's far easier to ingest as compared to the complicated content that you could be looking at. So these industries are definitely being impacted because of AI and generative AI. But these are not the only industries. So almost across industries, uh, this technology has far-reaching impact. Any questions at this point of time? Because I've been speaking for a while. So yeah, so Mahalakshmi has a question. Any AI tool for Flash generation for children? So again, I use this Google Notebook LM. I think you should also look at this. So this is a pretty powerful tool. So otherwise, I just generate content using Google AI Studio and then create. So for example, let's say if you go to any of these, you can look at flashcards. Let me see if I already have the flashcards for this one, and then I can just show you. I uh, I don't know why it's creating that again, but yeah. So it actually has this mind map concept that creates a full flashcards for you. So it actually creates the flashcards for you based on the content that you're looking at. So and it's again, as I said, it's a free to use tool. You can literally go there and generate flashcards and mind maps for yourself. So this is the mind map that it has. If you can see, yeah. So it's an Omron switch product type this, and then you can just keep diving deeper into it. Ask questions from within that content. It'll help you understand that content, generate answers for yourself. So it has these tools. So this is a mind map generator that it has, and similarly, it has this flashcard generator as well. So you can just go to the studio. It has a flashcard generator as well. It takes some time to generate that content, but believe me, the kind of content it can generate is pretty good. When you say industries are affected, does it mean loss of jobs? Um, I would say change in terms of the way people work in these industries. So see, AI is just a tool. It can do stuff for you, but it's your companion. It's a tool. It cannot do the job for you. So doing the job is still the human's responsibility. It is like a tool for you. So I think the question is very similar to when people moved from horses to cars, or let's say from, I don't know, from walking to horses. Would horses or cars take away your job? I don't think so, and it has not actually happened. In fact, if you see, the advent of cars actually made uh, made people use it far more, right? So initially people thought that when, just let me change the internet, just give me a second. So would that reduce the overall number of accountants needed? I don't think so. So actually, it has increased so many times. So it is just that people start using it, become more productive, and that becomes a way of life. So I don't think that means loss of job. It probably means many more jobs because you can do much more with these tools now. So maybe if we get a tool where you can create promotional videos using AI, you would create many more promotional videos. So for example, right now, this program was communicated to you through a PDF, or maybe through a PDF that said that at 6:30 you would have a session with Paramdeep, whereas you could have an interactive application where you could literally interact with that application, and that application was not created because you had no programmer. Now I can create that program on my own. I would just write text, it can create that application for you, and I'll send you an interactive program to interact with me. So I would think that it's not really a loss of jobs, but different kinds of jobs and a different productivity altogether. Does that answer your question, Subro? So, so suggest a tool for promo videos. Again, Balaji, I haven't really used a tool for promo videos, but I know Google VO and Mid Journey have are pretty nice in terms of generating videos. I am not sure whether they can generate good promo videos or not. So, am I still audible? Because there was some electricity failure in the midway. So, am I still audible? Yeah, okay. So Randeep can still. Okay, sure. I think people can still hear me. Any other questions at this point of time? Okay. I will just move on. So obviously, it is a great technology, but still has a lot of issues. It's still a nascent technology. If you look at the technology, it's maybe a few years old. As I said, when I started in 2018, this company, there's nothing called generative AI. So probably this term was coined just maybe 3 or 4 years ago. So one of the biggest problem that it has at this point of time, as I said, this is a generative model, so it hallucinates. So you ask a question and it will give you an answer. Is that okay? So and in places like healthcare, legal, banking, finance, this can be a real issue. So, for example, somebody in New York, a lawyer in New York, actually used ChatGPT to give reference cases to the judge. So the judge asked for something. The lawyer would go back, use ChatGPT to generate some background cases, give that to the judge. The judge would ask more questions. They would come back, ask more questions, and ChatGPT would just keep generating more answers, and he would keep giving those answers to the judge. And turns out all of those are like stories that AI was generating. So in a place like law, healthcare, or any of the important industries, such stories just don't work. So the judge actually caught the person, the lawyer, and there's a huge problem. So obviously, generative AI is a generative model, and I think it's important to understand the limitation that it has. So as I said, it's a probabilistic model that generates the next word for you. That's it. The model is as simple as that. You can try for the model to not hallucinate, but at the same point of time, the onus of checking the accuracy is still on you. So that means you have to be sure that whatever you're showing is actually true. So there is no way to remove hallucination. There's a way to reduce hallucination that's called RAG, retrieval augmented generation. But that doesn't mean that there will be zero hallucination. The first thing we need to be aware about is that this is a model that is actually generative in nature and generates text for you or images for you. They may or may not be true. So uh, does this make sense to you? Do you assimilate that? Do you understand that it's a generative model? It's a probabilistic model that uh, can write text for you. It is never going to be 100% accurate. The other thing that's a big challenge, at least from corporate perspective, is that the moment you upload your text to AI, it will read that text and update itself. So that means there is a chance that whatever information it looks at, it is no longer private to you. And most of the open source free models that you're looking at, you need to be cognizant of the fact that they will look at your data, and that data then becomes public. So that means in terms of your passwords, your personal information, you should never upload that on AI. Is that okay? So unless you have a trust that sort of and that is never going to utilize, you should never upload that. So and most of the larger corporates have this as a big issue. So for example, if you go to a large healthcare company or a Fortune 500 bank, they are very skeptical about uploading their employees information, or their customer information, or their product information on the internet, because there is a chance that AI looks at this information and then updates its model, and then somebody hacks into that system and gets that information out of AI. And obviously that could be a huge risk. The third is cost. Obviously, I showed you a lot of free tools, but that doesn't mean that these are free tools. So usually they would start free. A Chat GPT or a Claude would start free, but very soon the price starts stacking up. So it can go from like a zero to a 400 to a 20,000 uh, to a 20,000 per day model, which is not cheap. And most of these tools, they start cheap because you then get hooked onto these tools, on using these tools. At some point of time they charge, and when they charge, they are very expensive to run. And uh, and and again, unless you can utilize them properly, they can actually pinch you very much. So third is the cost part. So I don't know if you are utilizing some of the paid models that are there, but I can tell you that as the model usage increases, as you scale the product, the cost stacks up pretty fast. Fourth, I haven't pointed out, but bias is another issue. So, see, the way these models have been trained, they have actually looked at the old historical information and then updated their weights. So that means that if in the past it has looked at, let's say, women working in house, supporting the house, and men working in offices in the past, if it has looked at this information, since the weight has been trained is probability of looking at this information, it'll keep generating the text in the same manner. So that means the new information that it'll generate, it'll assume that men are working in office and women are working at home. And this may or may not be true going forward. So that means in terms of introducing bias, the way it has been trained is that it looks at historical data and then spits out the new word. That bias is bound to come in. So we always need to be aware of the fact that whatever data it is being trained on, that's not biased in nature, so that we can reduce the bias as much as possible. But it is still a big concern as far as AI models are concerned. So four limitations is to remember: hallucination, where it generates text on its own. The way these models are built, it will actually hallucinate because it's a generative model, it's a probabilistic model. The second is privacy in terms of uploading your content. It can utilize that content. One, two, it can even reveal that content to somebody if they're trying to hack into the system, which could be a huge concern. So privacy is a huge concern. Cost, as you keep using the model, and the model usage keeps increasing, the costs also rake up pretty fast. And the fourth is bias. So it has looked at the historical data and then predicting the new words. So whatever has happened in history may not happen in future, but the way the models have been trained, the bias is bound to come in. So any questions that you have as far as these aspects are concerned? Any limitations that you would like to speak about that you have seen in the past as far as these models are concerned? Any questions that you have at this point of time? Well, we just have one more portion left on agentic AI, and that is a powerful portion. But at the same point of time, I would like to see if you have any questions that I can answer. Am I still audible? I just want to be sure that I'm still audible. And is this part still interesting in terms of the introduction? Am I going too fast, too slow? And I think I asked multiple questions. I just got a yes, but okay. Okay. Now we come to this last part called the current landscapes, and I want to speak about agentic AI now. What is happening within the AI realm is that initially the models were just generative in nature. That means they could generate text for you. Now they've also started taking action for you. So that means you can ask it to do something for you, and it will do the task for you. Now, the first thing that changed within this is that that the models can think now, as we see or saw on the AI piece, they can think about a plan. So that means that you can give it a goal. I want to do research on this. So it can think that to do research, I have to search for one, two, three, four. Then it automatically takes action for you. It will go on the internet, search for that stuff, and bring that stuff for you. I can even say that go to my computer and put that in a file in my computer. It can get access to tools and do stuff for you, and it learns and adapts. So the may if it is not able to execute that task, it goes back and then tries to run that on its own. And this is a really powerful tool that has come in. So using agentic AI, you can write code. So most of the stuff that I showed you, so that means writing code, creating these applications, these are all based on agentic AI. So for example, we looked at this, right? So it can create a plan for me. It can create a full sort of a full design for me. Once it has the design, I can go and create a full application for myself. And this is the real power that agentic AI has. Is that okay? So uh, in terms of thinking about the next steps and then doing that stuff for you. So it can do stuff for you. Initially, it could just write text for you. Now you can give it instruction. It'll think about what needs to be done, break it into smaller parts, and do that stuff for you. So these are called agents. And 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 again, if you look at this, so almost all larger companies are creating multiple agents. So for example, there's a research visualization agent bringing any idea to life. So multiple applications that are being created. These are called agents. Is that okay? And in fact, most of the stuff that is happening on the generative AI side is agentic in nature. So it is happening that sort of people are trying to create employees. So just like an employee, you would have a skill, you would have tools with you. Similarly, you can have an AI employee that has skills and tools and can do stuff for you. And and ChatGPT again, as you see, has an agentic mode where you can create an agent. If you go to ChatGPT, let me go and show you. I don't know if this there. So you can so find the best restaurant near me, or let me search for something so I can ask it for uh, search for the best tour to a hill station with good quality AQI near Delhi that should have. So what it'll do is that once I've given it instruction, it'll go search for this information and create a full plan for me. Is that okay? So so it'll create a plan for me. So it says that you can go to an Nainital, search for this. It has references to why Nainital is the right place. Then it searches for the apartments. It says that you can go to an Airbnb and book this apartment for you. Is that okay? Then it says this is a luxury home that I'm looking at. Go to Airbnb and look at it. Then it says that Mussoorie is the next one, which is in Uttarakhand. It says within Hindustan Times, this is the reason I have recommended Mussoorie to you. You can go to Airbnb and book it for yourself. And then it looks at everything that has happened. It gives me a recommendation. And it gives me even the next step. So pull up a 5 to 10 day full ready to book tour style itinerary. So I can say, yes, give me the itin itin for, let's say, Lansdowne, and it will just go search on the internet. So you can say it's searching on the internet. So it has access to the tool called search, and then it creates a 7 day itinerary for me for Lansdowne and gives me that answer completely. And you can see that it is giving me proper references. That means it is doing a deep research, giving me proper references and and the itinerary for me. And then it asks me what should I be doing, and even the next steps that I could have. So slow pace and this, do you want to build those for you? I can even build that for me, and then I can even make the booking on the internet itself. So this is just one of the use cases. So if you're looking to write code, if you're going to create dashboards from within your database, is that okay? It can think through your problem, go to your database, query the data for yourself, and then create a complete dashboard for you. So that is the power that these agents have. So these are, so as I said, this is again an agent that can actually break PDFs for you. It can upload a PDF. It'll scan the PDF. It'll split that PDF for you and then save the two PDFs for you. So so this is the power that agent has. So agents are actually sort of generative AI components that can solve tough problems for you, take decisions for yourself, automate workflows, and do things step by step for yourself. So this is picking up really big time, and I would encourage all of you to try out agents and sort of learn how to create agents and use some of these agents. So this is a tool that we have uh, on let's say text to business intelligence. So what it does is that it look at the query, generate SQL for you based on the SQL, run that SQL, and then create a complete dashboard for you. You see that all these tasks are being done by AI. So it looks at your query in English, converts that query into SQL, then based on the data, creates a dashboard, a chart for you, and it can answer tough questions for you looking at your database. So this is a complete text to business intelligence. So that is probably what an analyst was doing. Now it is a tool in hand of the analyst to sort of get the questions answered and then generate value for the company. I will just pause this here and then see if I have some questions that I can answer. So we have, I think, 2 or 3 minutes left, but would love to ask if you have any questions that I can answer. Any questions that you have at this point of time? So question Mahalakshmi, how secure is my data and ideas when I use AI tools? Um, it is not 100% secure. That means AI does have access to your data. It can utilize this data. So just be careful on what you're sharing. So I would not share anything that is very personal to me. Any other questions that are there? So how to generate AI agents for different purposes? See, there are multiple toolkits that are available. So you can use a Crew AI. Google also has a toolkit to generate AI agents, but it does require a little bit of programming. But I think gradually it is moving from programming to business, where business people will be able to write agents. So Nisha has a question. Can you tell what is agent AI? Agent AI once more. Just give me a second. I don't know how to share. Just give me a second. Let me just share my screen. So, yeah. So an agent is like a generative AI program that can actually one, create a plan for you. Two, it has access to tools to run this plan for you. So, for example, if I were to say that, let's say, search for the best vacation place near Delhi that has a low IQ, a low AQI. What it can do is that it can search for different queries. So, for example, which place has a low AQI? I want to go near Delhi. It can create those search terms. Two, it has access to tools. For example, it has access to Google search. It can go to Google, search the data for me, then it can create an answer for me. If I give it access to, I don't know, let's say make my trip, it'll go to make my trip, book that hotel for me, and then send me, if it had access to my credit card, even send that ticket to me. So that means apart from planning and executing it, if it has access to tool, it can actually go and execute these steps for me. So that is what AI agents are. So in a summary, if you are learning generative AI, I think that's the tool and the technology to learn at this point of time. It is very powerful for content analysis, writing content. Two, it looks like magic, but it is not magic. It is actually probabilistic models. Is that okay? It is just generating the next keyword for you. Three, it is definitely a tool to reckon for. It is a very powerful tool that is changing multiple industries. But you still need to be aware of the risks that you run while using the tool. And fourth is agentic AI is autonomous in nature. It can take actions for you. So just learn it and try to use it within a work life and see as in how effective it is for you. Can you automate system through AI stock trade? Point of time, I would not really trade stock using AI because it is a bit risky to do that. But definitely till recommendation generation, you can generate a recommendation and then see if you want to take action on top of that. So I thank you all for your patience. I know it has been a long session. I do hope you gained something out of it, and look forward to interacting with you sometime in future.
Very, very nice session. Thank you so much, Param. I'll just take 1 or 2 minutes more to ask you, since we have almost 113 faculty members on the call.
Mhm.
You yourself run AI company, and
Mhm.
when you are hiring talent, uh, are you looking for fresh talent or are you looking for laterals? If you could just give a little bit of information and insight on your hiring and recruitment things, it will be very helpful for the faculty which is listening in on the call.
Sure. See, generally we look for both freshers and lateral talent. So with clients, obviously, I think lateral talent is more in demand. But smart people, even freshers, we recruit a lot. The key skills that we are looking for are basically one, in terms of Python, they should be conversant with Python. And two, they should be conversant with data. So that means they can write SQL queries, they can understand data, look at data, and then make sense out of that. So I think that is an important aspect. uh, the general, I think, if you can think through problems, that means uh, if you can think through how to solve a problem, that is usually very useful. So for example, let's say typically you would automate workflows using AI. So if you can understand a workflow, document that workflow for yourself, and then be smart about automation, those are the skills that will be very, very important going forward.
Right, right, right. Thank you so much. That was a impromptu question that I thought, let me,
Oh yeah,
since
sure.
the faculty members are there, let me ask this question, and hopefully it will benefit all the faculty members when they are talking to students. And hopefully it will reach thousands of students because we are talking to hundreds of
Absolutely.
faculty members. So thank you so much for your time,
Absolutely. Thank you.
and we hope
Thank
to
you.
have you
Bye.
back.
Definitely,
Uh,
yes. Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you, faculty members, for listening in. I will just check with the next trainer. Thank you for your patience, and I'm just checking. Yes, he's here. Happy
Yeah.
to welcome Dr.
Very good
Prakash
evening.
Goteti. Good evening, good evening. Sir, thank you so much for joining us. We just finished one session with the Paramdeep sir, who took a overview of generative AI and tools like Notebook LM, Nano Banana, and many other tools, and explained a little overview of generative AI, how it is, uh, uh, a probabilistic tool, and how faculty members can use it for their for in how they can use it. So I'm happy to hand it over to you. And Dr. Prakash Godedi, just to give an introduction, he is uh, principal consultant with TechM, and he has been taking very interesting and engaging sessions. So my request to you guys is to engage with him and to interact with him and gain as much as you can from Dr. Goteti. So over to you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Kamana, for this opportunity. So today we will discuss about prompt engineering and how large language models are helpful in solving some of the text-based uh, applications, right? How they will be helpful. So in this context, we are actually looking at the better way of interacting with these large language models. That's what the prompt engineering is all about, right? That is our point of interest today. So I'm sharing my screen. Let me just hmm. Yeah, let me know if you're able to see my screen. We'll proceed. So we are looking at uh, text-based generative models or ChatGPT. What is GPT? First of all, can anyone answer? What is GPT? We have been using this ChatGPT, but without understanding what GPT is, right? Can anyone tell me what is GPT? Yeah, generative pre-trained transformer model, right? So when you look at these models, right, there are two types of models. One is discriminative model, other one is generative model, right? Generative model, it refers to the models which actually generate the content. It can be text or it can be image, it can be video, etc., etc. So today we'll be focusing on these GPT models and role of these GPT models in education, right? That's what we want to discuss. So it requires two important aspects. One is domain knowledge in education. I'm sure in all of you are experts in that. And other thing is intricacies of how to use these models, right? That is something that we'll be discussing now, right? So to begin with, as a motivating example, let us just look at overall education, right? How it got evolved. In early 90s, we started with digital learning. It is a conceptualization of digital learning. And then we have computer labs, right? And during those 10 years, the evolution is towards leveraging internet technologies, right? Uh, internet technologies, which is basically client server technologies, right? We are talking about. And on top of it, you have these e-learning platforms, right? So next 10 years, how do we actually encapsulate these applications, these platforms into smaller devices, something like your smartphones, right? Then we also explored in terms of how do we leverage these platforms into our mainstream. That's where you see blended learning comes into picture, right? And of course, right, you have scalability, and then you see platforms like Google Classroom, right? And then what we can see in way forward is that we have seen prominent usage of MS Teams and Google Meet, right? Uh, as a platform for learning, especially during COVID period, these tools have become more prominent. right? People engagement tools. And now you see, next few years, how do you bring these AI applications to the mainstream of education? That is going to be very interesting, right? So there will be certain things that will be, of keen interest for everybody. Like, for example, is it good or bad to use these models in education? And what way we can use? How do we leverage this power of generative AI? And without compromising on the expected learning outcomes, right? So, in this session, we'll also look at few aspects of teaching learning. That means pedagogical aspects we will touch upon. And unless we understand these pedagogical aspects, unless we revisit them, we really don't understand how to integrate these tools into the mainstream, right? There are already many use cases leveraging these tools, right? Now, to get a brief understanding of GPT models, right, or ChatGPT in particular, it is developed by OpenAI based on transformer model architecture. Okay, so these transformer models are essentially large networks which are called neural networks, where each node in the network is referred as a computation, right? So, and these models, when it comes to chat GPT or text or speech, what is important is remembering the context, because in the text, when you analyze the text, you always see the next sentence is related to what is there earlier. So when you look at this kind of sequence modeling, that's where these GPT models are performing pretty well, right? So sequence modeling aims at remembering the context associated with the current text or current word, right? So it's important even when you are writing some queries in chat GPT, that what kind of contextual information that we are providing. If our prompts are poor, then what will happen? It will presume and remember something which is erroneous, right? That is called something like hallucination, right? So that's why understanding this prompt engineering is very important. When it comes to evolution of these GPT architectures, they actually started in 2017. There is significant acceleration on GPT models, right? These GPT models are pre-trained. That means the base level weights are already available because they are trained on large corpus. What is corpus? Corpus is a kind of uh, database where you have set of grammar rules and vocabulary, words, and all that pertaining to that particular language. We have French corpus, English corpus, like that. Okay. So they are trained basically on this kind of large corpus, and hence you can leverage it for the particular scenarios. But the way these models work is based on the learning, right? They learn based on the input that you are giving using the prior knowledge. Prior knowledge they acquire from the pre-trained model and pre-trained weights, right? So hence it is very important for us to strike a right conversation, to give right kind of context to the large language model so that it can pull out the data and information from various sources such as browser content, internet resources, documents, etc., available to it, and it tries to provide more meaningful response to the queries that we are asking. So typically, this is the generative transformer model architecture. You have a training happens on the large corpus. Then you have something like a pre-trained model. Pre-trained model is basically is in a position where it can predict next word based on the current word, because the sequence modeling is learned by your large language model. Now after that you kind of fine tune it through encoder decoder mechanism, and where it acquires some kind of attention to certain things which is in the sentence. Okay, that's what is called self attention mechanism. So when you give text based prompt, it will also go as input to transformer architecture, and combined with the attention mechanism, the input that you have given, it try to emit an output which will be more relevant and meaningful by extracting the sources of information in its visibility, right? That's what GPT all about. All right. Now let us understand. One minute. Let us understand the relevance of these GPT models in the field of education, right? There are multiple advantages, such as personalized learning, right? Suppose you want to have a learning plan, right, for 2 weeks or 4 weeks, depending upon the context. So you can take the assistance of GPT model, and particularly ChatGPT model is more popular for the text-based inferencing, right? So you can leverage these GPT models for designing thought-provoking assignments and problem-based learning, right? So if you see the course level outcomes, so there is a traceability, right? So let me just explain on the board. Hope you are able to see the blackboard, right? So ultimately, when you look at the course level outcomes, right? First, you have program level outcomes. You're able to see the screen, right? Then it will be drilled down to course level outcomes. When you see the course, one minute, let me close this. When you see the course can be visualized as a collection of topics, right? Or concepts. So assume that the concepts are essentially of type C1, C3, C4, right? Now they can be aligned with revised Bloom's taxonomy, right? It is a kind of recall, apply, then analyze, synthesize, and then evaluate. So as we move from C1 to C4, you are moving higher level of cognition. This is your lower level of cognition. So when you are looking at C4, right, what it means a student will be able to evaluate his or her own thought process, right? This is what it is. So you need to define these concepts and try to map these concepts to any one of these levels. Now, on the other hand, you have pedagogical instruments, right? Something like, let me put it here. You have problem based learning, project based learning, etc. So, when you think of problem based learning, this will be useful to look at higher order cognition, right? C2 and C3. The reason I am mentioning these things is given a subject area, not necessary that all the concepts you can do with one particular approach, right? Let us take a simple example of Java programming, right? In Java programming, from the course, if you distill out the concepts, you have a collection of concepts. In that collection, suppose if you talk about inheritance, right, as a concept, so inheritance comes under C2 because you are applying that principle. On the other hand, suppose you are given a scenario. For that scenario, you need to construct classes, class diagram, and relationships among these classes. Then that comes under C3. So let's say when you are talking about peer evaluation, you say that one design of a group, you can always cross validate with other group because you can't expect as a unique solution for all the groups, right? But having said that, there is still uniqueness. What is it? Are you getting my question? Hmm. So let me just see what you have written in the chart. So once you understand this, you we know that they are good candidates for problem-based learning, right? We should not misinterpret the problem-based learning with examples and numerical problems that we solve in the class. That is different actually, right? I'm sure all of you know that differences. What is the difference between solving numerical problems and problem-based learning? Is there any difference or there is no difference? Hello? I'm asking you. My question is that when you are solving some problems, right? When you are solving some problems in the class, can we say it is a problem-based learning methodology? No, right? So, what are you expecting in the problem-based learning? They are not same, right? Now, can you tell me what is the difference? Hello? What is the difference between solving these numerical problems in the class and problem-based learning? Okay, it is a teaching method which solves real life problems. And okay, good, very good. So, one more point you should mention, it is open ended. It is not like numerical problems where you see this is the problem, this is the answer key, and all that. So, we should not get confused with traditional problem solving with problem based learning, correct? Because of the scope it has for open endedness, alternative solutions, options, etc., it will help students develop higher order and higher order thinking skills. Right? Correct. Okay, we may give open ended. Correct, correct. So now you understood what we are talking about. So now tell me, for problem based learning, suppose we want to use ChatGPT? Is it good or bad? What are the pros and cons according to you? Okay, worst. Okay. Open-ended questions should not be used by ChatGPT. Mm-hmm. So what we can look at is that uh, what we can look at is that you can give open-ended questions where students will explore these models and come back with specific options. Those specific options can be evaluated in the class, for example. So it is not that we should not use GPT or GPT models rather. We should see that how we can promote higher order thinking in leveraging GPT, right? Because GPT is something we need to live with it, right? So the point is we wanted to leverage. What if we want to leverage these GPT models, right? In this particular context of promoting higher order thinking skills, how do we approach? That will be the interesting question to address, right? One way to look at this question is that when you give the problems or when you give a use case to the students to solve, you ask them to evaluate various methods and identify the best method. Right? So the concepts of type C2 and C3 you can probably propose uh, problem based learning. So let us take again example of Java. What kind of topics that we can think of, right? You can think of developing a web application, right? And you want to monitor the performance of garbage collector in Java, right? So these are the some of the problems where you will not find very easily the solutions and options. Yeah, right, correct. Chart, if you think of chart that can give solution itself, there is therefore mental exercise shall not take place. Actually, this mental exercise is very important thing to have, right? In fact, people argue that that is also a side effect of excessive usage of, let's say, generative models such as prompt engineering, right? Right? Okay. Now we understand that in order to use GPT models, you articulate the concept, list of concepts, and the corresponding concept types. These types are aligned with your advanced or revised Bloom's taxonomy, right? So, what is the difference between traditional taxonomy and this one? Why problem-based learning, or for example, is not suitable for various type of concepts or various type of storage requirements. Hmm? So the fundamental thing is that you need to look at predominantly C3 and C4 category and see how we can leverage this uh, large language model or GPT. Okay, so let us move on. Where is the screen? So how education is influenced by GPT models? You can see this video, right? Let me exclude this.
Fourteen-year-old Calvin Martin is
You are
now
able to
comfortable
hear, right?
doing something he used to dread.
Growing up, what was reading like for you?
Oh, it
Can you
was
hear? Can you see
miserable.
this?
Miserable because at 9 years old, Calvin was diagnosed with dyslexia.
I knew I was gonna fail.
Estimates for how many people have dyslexia range from as low as 3 to higher than 17%. Dyslexia is a learning disability that affects how people read. They see things the same as everyone else, but have problems processing the words. Linguist Coral Ho founded the company EDU National in upstate New York and designed a game-based program to address that, using artificial intelligence technology she calls Dissolve AI.
It reorganizes the brain.
Ho says, unlike other online educational games, there's no pre-made format to hers. Instead, Dissolve AI functions like a real teacher, responding to students' individual needs.
We have this patented advanced technology to actually have the computer system generate or build a game in real time during interaction with each student.
The game teaches how to separate words into syllables.
You're able to hear,
Ho
right?
says Dissolve AI already has subscribers in 38 states and that a clinical trial is underway with over 750 students in 28 schools. Users, she says, typically catch up to their grade reading level in an average of 1 to 2 years. The cost? $1,000 per school year.
The sound is puh, as in Peter.
And you're going to pick out every fish that has the puh sound.
Correct.
Pack, Pete, pole, band.
Calvin scores points with each correct answer. His father calls it a game changer.
He was resistant at first, but he persevered and he started to see the improvement.
After 2 years using Dissolve AI, Calvin went from failing English to acing it.
I feel good about my reading. I feel confident. I can read what is the material on my own.
Now excited about school and the next chapter in learning. Rahima Ellis, NBC News, Pine Bush, New York.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.
Yeah. What do you understand from this particular clip?
14-year-old Calvin Martin is now...
What do we understand from this? Any thoughts? Hello? How can leverage this AI in our context? So as I said here, you ask them kind of exploration type questions, right? And probably you can give kind of a peer evaluation rather than you evaluating things. So we need to use these tools for exploration purpose, and it should not become a shortcoming or limitation for the teaching learning process, right? Now let us see here our students and schools are
AI is the
exploring
new
this.
reality in classrooms across the country.
So how many of you use the AI like ChatGPT or Bard in this discussion? How many of you pulled it up? All right.
As more students turn to tools like ChatGPT or Google's Bard to generate explanations or whole essays in seconds. A new survey found nearly half of teens say they will likely use AI to do their schoolwork this year, even though more than half in the same survey say they consider it cheating.
I know plenty of people like that, actually.
High school senior Zachary Clifton says since ChatGPT's release last November, it's become normal at schools like his.
I think that the learning loss that was brought on by the pandemic, it caused an influx of students who felt compelled to cheat.
He says he uses the tech only to create study guides, but says it's no secret AI can easily be misused.
I think whether or not ChatGPT will enhance or impair a student's education is ultimately their choice.
Schools are struggling to set the rules. The nation's two largest districts banned the use of generative AI tools last school year, but school officials in New York and Los Angeles are now openly wondering about exploring AI's potential benefits. At Mountain View High School in Silicon Valley, there is no formal guidance on AI, at least not yet.
So that would be a categorical grant.
But this year, Ms. Hancock tweaked the rules for her class.
I think for us to fight it is a losing battle. We should be teaching kids how to use it as a tool and not as a shortcut.
She now allows students to use programs like ChatGPT as directed and only on some assignments.
I think it's different to use ChatGPT to research a question in Gov versus to use it in English to write a paragraph.
Ms. Hancock says she may even consider changing how she evaluates her students.
I think that the way we assess student knowledge is going to increasingly be in this format. It's going to be conversation and discussion, maybe formal debates of some kind.
But tell me about what you know here and now.
Right.
Don't write it down. Don't email it to me.
You'll have a chance to prep it and write it, but I'm going to ask you to speak it because that lessens the chance of them using the AI as wholesale for their knowledge.
Is it logistically feasible for you to have a sit-down conversation with every one of your students and assess them that way?
No. So we have to figure that part out as well.
So for now, students are left to navigate how they will implement AI in their own education. And in the end, AI may force us all to reconsider how school works entirely.
I see 150 kids sometimes a day. And so how do I ensure all 150 have access to the material? This is a tool that can help us do that. Am I creating problems? Probably. Will things be lost? Probably. But maybe it's okay that they're lost because new things will be found.
So essentially what we are saying is for exploration and open-ended information comprehension, right? This is very good tool to use, right? But if you have certain things which are like you want to suppose you want to see how a person solves a problem, right? Then it may not be good option because they might just use AI and bring that solution. So for problem solving skills, the best way I feel is probably you can use some kind of a quiz, right? Where in the classroom they will be using this question and answer mode, right? Whereas if you are talking about a deeper understanding, like for example, given a use case, how to develop object-oriented modeling, right? So such scenarios, you can always ask them to use these tools. right? You don't have to ask them, but you can trigger that need for them to leverage this. And also, we can ask them that explore various approaches for this problem. And why do you think the approach that you furnished is the best approach, right? That way, you can actually bring some kind of creativity among students. On the other hand, if you have factual knowledge, right, which is more predominantly remember and recall or application knowledge, then probably this may not be an ideal thing, right? So at this now, the next point is how do we interact with these GPT models, right? That's where prompt engineering comes into picture. Now let us see how do we use this ChatGPT for problem solving. This is actually from Khan Academy, right? You can see this.
OpenAI invited myself and my son Imran here to try out some of their new technology. And so we're curious about how good it might be at tutoring someone in math on Khan Academy. So let's get it started. It's loading up. All right, make sure it can see our screen.
Actually, in this format,
Hello
I
there.
can't.
I'm here with my son, and I'd love you to tutor him on this math problem, but don't give him the answer. You can ask questions and
So
nudge
that
him
is
in the
the
right
A
direction, but I really
application
want to
that we
make
are
sure
talking
he
about,
understands it himself.
helping
And he's
in
here in the
problem
room, so you
solving.
can talk to him directly.
Of course, I'd be happy to help. Let's look at the problem together. Can you first identify which sides of the triangle are the opposite, adjacent, and hypotenuse relative to angle alpha?
All right, so I'm pretty sure this is the angle alpha right here, right?
Perfect. That's correct. Now, looking at the triangle, which side do you think is the hypotenuse?
Um, really,
Remember the hypotenuse?
I'm not totally sure. I think it might be this one, but I really am not sure. This side AC.
You're close. Actually, side AC is called the adjacent side to the angle alpha. The hypotenuse is the longest side of a right triangle and is directly opposite the right angle. Can you find which one is the hypotenuse?
Oh, okay, I see. So, I think the hypotenuse is this really long side from A to B. Would that be correct?
Exactly. Well done. Now that you've identified the hypotenuse, can you identify which side is the opposite side to angle alpha?
Okay, well, I mean, you told me earlier that this was the adjacent side, and I know that's the hypotenuse, so I'm guessing that this side, BC, is the opposite side.
Great deduction. That's absolutely correct. Now that you've identified all the sides relative to angle alpha, do you remember the formula for finding the sine of an angle in a right triangle?
Yeah, I know that the sine is equal to the opposite over the hypotenuse.
Perfect. That's absolutely right. Now, can you apply that formula to find sine alpha in the triangle using the lengths of the sides that we've identified?
Okay, so, I mean, you told me that 7, this side BC, is the opposite side. And then you said that the hypotenuse is the longest side, so that would be this side AB, which is 25. So would the answer be 7 over 25?
Excellent work. That's correct. Sine alpha equals 7 over 25. You did a great job identifying the sides and using the sine formula. If you have any more questions, feel free to ask.
So basically, what do you understand from this, right?
OpenAI.
What do you understand from this, right? This example. GPT models prefer sequential learning, right? Because incrementally one aspect at a time, right? Imagine that you need to cover significant chunk of syllabus, like for example, in this use case of trigonometry, there are certain aspects like radian and degrees, conversion of degrees to radians to degrees. Now you can totally skip this kind of topic and delegate it to them and tell the students that okay, tomorrow morning when you come, you learn these things and come, so that we can start this from the you know trigonometric ratios, for example. That is just example. So as a teacher or educator, we will be having a lot of pressure to derive the demonstrable outcomes from the students without compromising on the content coverage given the tight timelines. Is this point clear? So in such scenarios, what you do is you probably look at what kind of factual information you can delegate to the students to learn and come. Right? So that way you can focus on more critical things that requires attention of a teacher to the students, and this kind of factual information you can delegate to self-learn and come back, right? One good thing about factual information is the GPT models will ask with inquisitiveness, right? Specific things, right? You can ask GPT model, for example, why should I learn about radians? Why can't we do everything in degrees? So that can be a good question to ask, right? But having said that, the moment you make them as evaluation component, then there are headaches and issues like plagiarism and integrity aspects, so on and so forth, right? These are some of the challenges. So we should be cautious in terms of what kind of exercises we are giving them as take home assignment or take home problem solving sheet, etc., right? Otherwise, if we are simply giving as an open-ended problem, which is elementary, then they simply copy from the GPT answer and they will demonstrate. So our answer should be open-ended to the best possible extent, right? Right? And this is where, we will be touching upon data privacy and understanding, etc. Now, we understand that there are certain areas where we can leverage these LLMs or GPT models. Now, next thing is what the best way to interact with these large language models. That will be the next question that we are interested to know, right? So that's where this concept of prompt engineering comes into picture, right? What is prompt engineering? Prompt engineering is essentially leveraging the existing models. Like you want to develop a new model, right? Based on pre-trained model, but the data that you give will be very specific to a context, right? So this session is not about how the GPT models actually learn, but it is more of how to use them. So what is prompt engineering? It actually helps mold the model output, and you want to see a better way of communicating with large language model. So you need to look at certain traits when you are interacting with GPT models. One is clarity and specificity, and then context information, and using of structure and constraints may not necessarily be a big issue here, provided we follow these best practices, right? Right? Now, let us see each of these traits. What is clarity and specificity? It means when you are giving a prompt to this large language model, you want to minimize the ambiguity to the best possible extent. These are the examples. So, suppose if you ask ChatGPT, explain photosynthesis, it is very vague, right? Now, if you say that explain photosynthesis in simple terms for a 10-year-old person. So, this instance is an example of persona based prompts. Persona means roles, right? You are keeping certain roles in view. Keeping that role in view, you want to look at the answer. So, persona plays very important role in prompt engineering. Okay. Second thing is providing the context. So, you wanted to add some kind of a background information pertaining to the query that you are firing to the GPT model. Okay. So, third aspect is using the structure and constraints, right? So, you can think of lists, tables, and various roles or personas, for example, in the conversation might be very helpful. So, you can take an example here. Summarize the article in 3-column table, concept, explanation, and example. Right? So, prompt engineering is iterative and incremental approach. That means the moment you type initial prompts, it will try to learn from that, and subsequent prompts when you give, it will consolidate the previous learning, and it will make it more relevant, or it will be more working towards what exactly is being expected by the end user, right? That depends upon how you probe what kind of queries you ask in a iterative and incremental way, right? Now we will look at certain techniques of giving these prompts. These are called one-shot prompt, two-shot prompt, few-shot prompt, chain of thought prompting. So in chain of thought prompting, you are essentially asking this large language model to provide the reasoning step by step, right? On the other hand, if you say one shot prompting, you are giving just one example. Persona based prompting or role prompting, I already explained. Suppose as a medical student, explain me this topic. Since I mentioned as a medical student, when it prompts you with a response, it will also ask a question, do you want me to give resources for learning for this, right? So that's where the domain knowledge also will come automatically, isn't it? Now, why it is important, this prompt engineering? It matters because whenever you want to extract information through searching in various platforms, it is slightly difficult humanly, right? But GPT models, depending upon the query that you fire, will be capable of giving you some insight on the data. Correct? So, depending upon the uh, quality of queries, right? If you, for example, if the queries are poor, it is like garbage in, garbage out, right? So, that's why we have to understand certain techniques of designing these prompts. So, there are three types of prompts in prompt engineering. One is zero shot prompting, other one is few shot prompting, and the third one is chain of thought prompting. So is this clear? Let us understand and compare them. So first thing is let us understand the definition. What is the definition of one-shot prompting? You are actually providing a single example instance to the model. To give an example, translate the following sentence into French, for example. You are giving an example. I love music that get translated to Jemmy la music, right? Now you are asking you translate I read books. That means you are giving one example, very relevant example, and you are asking the language model to respond to the given question, right? And one shot prompting is useful when you have a very basic uh, idea of specific domain areas, right? Okay. Now, few shot prompting, you are giving instead of one example, you are giving two or three examples. So you can see the example here. Translate the following sentences. You are giving three sentences. I love cats. He eats bread. They play football, right? So this is few shot prompting because you are trying to provide a sequence of instances as examples, right? So then change of thought or chain of thought means you are giving this information in a very, very iterative and incremental way. So you can see an example here. Okay. So this is an example. If a train travels 60 kilometers in 1 hour, how long it will take to travel 180 kilometers? So of course it is a core math question, but still we can solve using these GPT models, right? What about model guidance? In the chain of thought, you are giving more and more inputs because you are creating these chains, right? So the prominence of uh, these models are very high. So what are the advantages and disadvantages? Can you go through this? One is summarization will be easy with one-shot prompting, and in few-shot prompting you are trying to give more relevant examples, right? And hence the main model guidance is not that difficult. And there are certain use cases also, you can see it, right? Okay. What are the limitations of one-shot prompting? Because if the tasks are ambiguous and you are not giving enough examples for the model to learn, it might give some uh, irrelevant output, right? And in few shot prompting, it is important that you design and develop these prompts which are very precisely connected with your predecessor content, right? I'm talking about this uh, last statement, right? So now let us come back to this question. How do we leverage this in education? So we discussed to some extent few aspects where we can leverage this prompt engineering, but these are general guidelines, right? How do we create better study material, and how to inculcate problem solving and reasoning skills? Let's say you wanted to produce a personalized feedback, etc., etc., right? So these are some again use cases. You look at this. You can see here how it is being asked, right? See here. Do you know the formula for net present value? Right? How to solve this problem? Right? And similarly, how do we create some sample quiz? Right? So how you get into the interaction and conversation? Right? Now, Notebook LM, this is also one good thing.
Welcome to Notebook LM. This is where you can start exploring the power of generative AI. The first thing you need to do is start a new notebook. Select the Create button here to get started. Once you do that, you'll be prompted to add some source documentation. Notebook LM supports PDFs, text files, Markdown, or audio files like MP3. You can also add documents from Google Drive, you can add links from websites or YouTube, and even paste in text. Let's try this out and upload these documents: McKinsey's report on the economic potential of generative AI, and Google Cloud's white paper on building an effective AI strategy. Okay, and once those documents are uploaded, this text box at the bottom is where you'll enter your prompts. Think of it similarly to Gemini, as having a conversation with a super smart assistant. But think of Notebook LM as a research assistant that relies only on the documents you provided for context. There you go. Notebook LM will create a concise summary, drawing directly from the uploaded documentation, and provides citations for easy reference. You can ask Notebook LM questions about the source material, give it creative tasks, or have it summarize highly complex information. You'll also notice in the right panel, the Studio panel, you'll see two sections: an audio overview and a notes section. The audio overview section will actually generate a podcast from two hosts based on the source documentation. And the notes section will auto-generate a note or a study guide, a briefing doc, an FAQ, or even a timeline. So now it's your turn to explore and see what things you can unlock with Notebook LM.
So Notebook LM is another good example on GPT
Welcome to Notebook
models. Right? Now, what are the main common problems, right? A, hallucination, right? What is hallucination? When the model generates incorrect information or fabricated information, right? Or misinterpreted based on the input prompts that you have given, right? So as a result, the outcomes that you see from the output, they may actually wrong, right? And hence they may lead to some kind of prediction errors or bias or missing data, etc., etc., right? Why it exactly happens? Because the model tries to fill the gaps, right? Especially when the prompts are poor, More than prompts, the data side is a problem, right? You have a training data limitation and over generation during the reasoning because it will remember something, it will try to reproduce every time that you ask a different set of queries. So that's what hallucination is one of the problems, right? So in the context of books and sources, when you want to figure out, right, and it can be a problem like fabricating some codes, right? But there could be incorrect reasoning and misidentification of people, places, and the events. These are some of the aspects of hallucination, right? That's why prompt engineering, design of prompts, persona-based prompts play a very, very important role. Hence, we have to use very precise and context-rich responses, prompts, and you might have this step-by-step reasoning and verification, but that is something more detailed. You may not, we may not get into that at this point in time, right? So reference text, etc. So how it is able to supply these inputs because it is well connected with various sources, right? And it can extract the information from various source materials and tries to consolidate in the best possible manner. So this is an example, right? Can you see this example? Explain how Apache Kafka is used in real-time data streaming. Can you see this? So one is it is giving some specific details. Your Kafka contains publisher subscriber model, right? So now we are giving few short prompts. Explain neural networks to 10-year-old, right? Now neural network to college student, right? So these are persona based prompts, right? Because you are asking a question, explain this particular concept for a fourth class student or sixth class student. So personas plays very important role because when you are firing your query, you are also setting the context information along with that. So is the case with chain of thoughts. One example you can see here. Kafka's publisher subscriber model moves real world data between producers and consumers, right? And GPC's self attention focus on relationships within the data sequence, right? How does the self attention mechanism in GPT offers from publisher subscriber mechanism in Kafka, right? So it tries to correlate between Kafka publisher subscriber model with the current thing that we are doing, right? Now let us take some quiz. In prompt engineering, the persona pattern is primarily used too. Because you understand that you have some assessments also, right? Towards the end of this program. So I wanted to give some model questions so that will give you practice. Now which option is correct for this? Which option is appropriate for this question? B. B or C. Persona means it is role. Please remember that. Make the model assume a specific role or identity. That's what persona does. It is not that responses are factually accurate. That is nothing to do with persona. Now look at this question. Which of the following is example of persona prompts? B again. Why? Because you are mentioning a role there. Now third one. Why are persona patterns useful in prompt engineering? What is the reason? Which option is correct among these four? Persona prompts will help the model tone, expertise, and perspective, right? They guide on these three dimensions. Grammatically correct or not, it is a distractor. It may not be right option, right? And similarly, reduce number of tokens. That is okay. Even if the number of words is more, it is not our problem, right? It is how relevant the answer is to the given question. That's what we are looking at here. And again, we cannot guarantee that it will completely eliminate hallucination because there could be some various resources through which this model is learning, and that can potentially corrupt the thinking of the model, right? Now look at this question. A teacher designing prompts for educational chatbot want this person act as a patient tutor, right? Now let us look at next question. Which option is correct for this? A major cause of bias in AI systems is which option is correct? B, right? Because human bias, which is actually embedded in the training data. Now, fairness aims for what? When you say fairness, it is like equitable treatment across different groups. So, provide equitable treatment across different groups, right? Now, look at here. A lending system approves more loans for men than women. What kind of problem it is? Such things are called bias problems, right? Right? Now let us see next one. Which organization or guideline emphasizes fairness and accountability? This is just a general knowledge question. And you see, remaining all are distractors, right? Newton's laws, Moore's law, Kirchhoff's law, etc. So UNESCO AI ethics is the main recommendation that we are referring here. So which guideline or principles emphasize fairness and accountability? Again, the same thing, right? Why is fairness important in AI systems? To make AI system faster? No. To ensure AI benefits are distributed equally among society? Yes, correct. Now let us look at few shot prompting. What is few shot prompting? It is a technique where the model is provided with multiple examples, right? We are talking about few shot prompting. Now, which of the following is not an advantage of few shot prompting? Which option is correct? Yeah, right, D. So, few shot prompting is useful for where you want these examples to clarify the format and reasoning part of it. Now, this is another question. Which option is correct? Uh, in few shot prompting, your examples are clear, they represent the desired output, isn't it? Now, let us take one more, a few critical examples. It is not moving. Yeah. Now, these are some scenarios. Look at this. A teacher asks AI to help the student solve multi-step math word problem. Which option is correct for this? Multi-step math word problem. The student needs to understand how each step leads to the answer. So, which one will do? Chain of thought, correct. It is not D, Mahesh. Now, look at this problem. This we have done already. Now, look at this. An ACE receives a complex logic puzzle involving multiple conditions. Explain the steps it used to reach the answer. Sometimes you may have more than one option correct, right? Obviously, use chain of thought examples in the prompt and reduce the temperature that is not in your hand because model parameters are you are using, right? That is not the problem. Temperature is one of the parameters that you will know when you work with these agents and generative AI models. Now look at this question here. What about this one? 17 question. Provide only the final answer is not correct. So what options are correct in this? Use chain of thought, that seems to be correct. Provide only final answer? No. Disable reasoning steps? No. Right? Now look at this problem. A business analyst wants an AI to compare three marketing strategies and recommend best one. So which option is correct? One word answer, prompting, chain of thought, creative writing, image capturing for captions. So which option is correct for this? You can see it here. It is not one word prompting. It should be, you want to, what is the objective of prompting? Evaluation requires structured reasoning and weighing pros and cons. So how do you get structured reasoning? When you give multiple examples for the model on how to think. That is nothing but chain of thought prompting, right? Right? So which options are correct in this case? So what do you think the options here in this case? Random examples unrelated to riddles? No. So you can ask to reply in bullet points, definitely. You can also mention to think step by step. And you can also mention that I want final answer. But you should never give random unrelated examples. So you have a customer service bot. Read the problem. Needs bot to determine cause of a technical error by analyzing the symptoms and eliminating the possibilities. The developer wants the bot to justify its decision making. Which method supports this? Because we are talking about determining cause of technical error. Definitely zero shot prompting may not be appropriate. We can think of chain of thought reasoning, right? Now look at this question. So which option is correct for this? So what the person is looking at is that you want to develop a model to analyze the failure, right? So she wants the AI to break the down clues, evaluate hypothesis and justify the final conclusion. One is you can ask the model to think step by step. You can also provide an example where the reasoning steps are shown. Request only short direct answer may not be appropriate because on one hand you are asking about a use case, right? That is not clearly mentioned that you should require very crisp answer, right? And of course you can use chain of thought. Now these are more scenario type questions where more than one option is correct. You are able to see the screen, right? Which options are correct for this? Is it one option or more than one option here? Hello? Okay. So you can see that how you arrived at final schedule, provide a worked out schedule. You don't normally say give me most probable answer, right? Break down the constraints. So A, B, D can be right answers for this. You can get multi checkbox kind of questions, right? So that's why I'm giving you these examples. Now look at this. So we are talking about multi-step probability problems, and we have some AI tutor. It must both solve the problem and explain how it is derived. Which method promote strong chain of thought output? COT means chain of thought. Which option is correct? Yes, few short examples showcasing stepwise. Direct instruction? No. Give the final numerical answer only? No. And structured templates can be helpful. So A and D, right? You can think of. Now these are the few other questions, okay? I think because due to the time availability, I am skipping this.
You can share this presentation, Dr. Koteti.
Yeah,
You can share this presentation with me now.
yeah,
I'll share it with all the faculty members so they can
yes,
see
yes,
the questions.
yes.
It's almost
So
time, so thank you so much. If you want
these
to
are the
wrap up,
things I have.
yeah.
So hope it is informative. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. I think you're also helping them for the assessment. So thank you so much for that, along with the session. And thank you to all the faculty members for patiently listening and for their time, and especially to Dr. Koteti. That's again a very good session.
Thanks.
And
I hope it
and
is informative. Thank you.
please share your presentation, Dr.
Yeah,
Koteti, with me, and I'll
yeah.
share it. And thank you, members of the faculty. Please join again tomorrow at 6 o'clock. We will start tomorrow sharp at 6. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.